Dun, 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 dun. Hello, hello, hello. All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Oh, Discord, you have no idea, Discord. Discord just sent a little gif of Snow White chugging coffee. Here she is, girls. Here's the Le Coffee. Oh. No sleep was had, girls. No sleep was had. I posted the pod yesterday at 6 a.m. my time. Enjoy that. Thank you. Executive dysfunction to the T. Will I ever get the pod on time? Probably not, you know? So I'm so tired. I did get a few hours of sleep. And then there's construction on our building, and so the you might hear some noise in the background, and they're using our apartment to get through to stuff. So we had to wake up to let people in the house, and then there's people in the house, and so I didn't, I'm not gonna I feel weird sleeping when there's like people. So I've been up. I've been ready. I'm almost done editing my second episode of the Oprah Estranged Parents episode, so exciting stuff. Whoa! Yeah, chat says yesterday was pretty intense in a good way, but still. Yeah, we're gonna go over a little bit of it today. Man, it really is gonna be a learning thing, right? Let's pause music. 1, 2, 3. So we'll go over some of the comments from yesterday and stuff, but again, it becomes this discourse of like, you're not understanding me. Can you understand me, please, before you disagree with me? And they go, oh, you think you're smarter than me? Like, you think people don't understand you, but they do. No, I would tell you if you understood me, because if you did, it'd be really exciting, and then we could have a cool conversation. But if you don't understand me, now I'm sad because we can't even have a cool conversation. Sometimes it feels like when you talk to your parents about how you're an atheist and they go, what do you know about ethics? You're an atheist. It's like, okay. Like, I love it when people understand my argumentation and disagree with me. I don't want to argue with people that can't have a real discussion, though. So, like, I don't talk to my conservative parents about ethics because they literally think atheists can't be moral. That's how the comment sections sound. But we'll talk about it because it's just such a good example of bubbles. I have a lot of angry liberal people in my audience right now, which is also interesting, where they're like, Brittany thinks she's better than people because she's like making fun of liberals. I know Democrats are sensitive right now. We all need to lock in, okay? I get it. I've been a liberal. I know. But yeah, even the liberals are so testy with me, bro. It's like, geez, Louise. Like, I get it, but also, yeesh, Okay. First, let's cleanse our palates. I saw this TikTok. Guys, please, you gotta watch this TikTok with me about Erica Kirk, okay? Just so we can go over this comment that I just thought was so funny. Okay, you ready?
Kirk. This is Erica Kirk. Another Erica Kirk. Same exact name, same exact spelling, both political wives, both married to outspoken Republicans. Current Erica is nicknamed Miss Arizona, and the first Erica was nicknamed Madam X. People called the first Erica Kirk Madam X because they say she just kind of showed up out of nowhere. Both have striking blue eyes and blonde hair. They even do their eyeliner the same, and personally, I think they have the same face structure. The first Erica Kirk passed away now, but was from Palm Beach County, Florida, which raises another huge red flag. If you've been following my videos, you know why. I don't want to tell you guys what to think. I'm simply giving you the information. Do you think these are like all coincidences, or is there something else going on here? This is Erica Kirk. Another Erica Kirk.
Okay, so first of all, I don't know. Chat. Discord, the comment. Discord said she's a vampire. Somebody in this comment section literally said, wait, let me go.
This is Erica.
Wait. They said, hold on. They said, this is so funny to me because what are you even implying, that she's a vampire? And I was like, I mean, it's kind of funny. But you know what's even funnier? Guys, we look like, my God, I just choked on my own fucking mouth. We look like people. That's what's so funny about the world. Like, we look like people. But this comment had me gagging. What are you even implying? But actually, what she's implying, hold on, please wait, please hold. Wait, what the fuck? Where is it? No, where's the comment? No, wait, no. There was a comment and she hearted it. Where is it? She hearted a comment that said she's a clone, that the government's been cloning people. I think that might be her whole thing. That she's like, the people think she's a clone. And I'm like, okay, I guess. This is so interesting. Like, I am so fascinated at people because people just look like people. Have you ever seen those, you don't know me, but I know you? You know that TikTok trend? There was a girl who said, I always wondered if I was adopted because I never looked like anyone in my family. And then I came across a picture of my grandma. And guys, it was like her twin. It was like her literal twin. I was like, oh my God. That is why genetics is so interesting, or humans are so interesting. So anyways, I saw that and I was just like, this is too funny. This is just too funny. She's a vampire. Listen, I do enjoy an Erica Kirk meme. I'm not going to lie that I really enjoy the ones where she's under the stage and then they pop her up on the stage and it's like everybody mourns different. I do really enjoy that humor. I'm not going to lie. I do think it's very funny. I think it's just so appropriate for the way that she's conducted herself. I tried so hard in the beginning to be very like, hey, everybody mourns differently. But as time has progressed, and look, it didn't take long, right? It is way too memeable the way she has reacted to her husband's death. It is uncanny valley, to be honest. Like, I just don't know. It's very strange, you know? Pat says, have you seen the drag queen dressing up as Erica Kirk? I have. Let me see. Erica Kirk drag. I have. I have. Yeah.
On the cross, our Savior said.
Wait.
Father, on the cross, our Savior said. Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do.
Fuck, that's good, bro. That's good. I'm not even gonna play. That's so funny. Like, I have humor. That's the thing. Like, I do think, you know, at the end of the day, you are a public figure, and there's just like, you know, it's this thing about like a bigotry that's so interesting, because I do think like in some ways we want to be so philosophically wise and we want to be the bigger person. We want to do the right thing. And sometimes I do think the right thing is make it a little bit of a meme. I do think the right thing might be a joke. I'm catching up on season 9 of Love is Blind. And can I just tell you, I have never yelled at my TV so much in my life. People warned me that this was the worst season, but this is truly the worst season. Not only did they give me time to even like anybody, they rushed so quickly pairing people up in episode 1, but it is the bonding on the homophobia that had me just absolutely like, oh, are you a Christian? I'm a Christian. And I'm sorry, with peace and love, and I mean this so respectfully, and I know this is a safe space to say it, but I know a gay when I see a gay, you know? And I know people are like, men can be feminine too. Yes, they can. But gay voice and gay face? Okay. And then he's talking about how his mom, when he was a kid, had to have a serious talk with him and ask him if he was gay. And he's like, oh my God, no. Oh my God, Mom, no. Girl, trust me, as a little girl who's been asked that question a lot in her Catholic family, you're gay. Okay, you're gay. Anyways. With peace and love, okay? And that's the first question he asks the girl. He's like, if we have a gay kid, what's your reaction going to be? You know, for asking a lot of gay questions, you know what I mean? Anyways, listen, and just to confirm my suspicions, because I understand you can't just look at someone and know they're gay. Anyways, I went on Reddit, and Reddit was like, he's gay, right? And I was like, he's gay, right? Like, okay. Yeah, all random, of course. Exactly, chat. Totally random, but what do you think about homosexuality? Absolutely random, but what do you think about getting gug from your, like, best friend in college who's a guy? Absolutely random, but, like, JD Vance, hit or pass? It's like, you're gay. You're gay, Republican, and Christian. You're gay. You know? Anyways, okay. So stupid. No judgment. I get it. Okay. Chat said absolutely random, but heated rivalry. Honestly, it's not capturing me. First of all, I don't watch gay guy stuff. Like, I don't like the way it's being sexualized. It makes me so uncomfortable. But two, I don't care about hockey. Getting me to watch a show about hockey that's not even about lesbians. Maybe if it was about lesbians, I maybe would have watched, I don't know, Discord said I heard Matt Bernstein call it the glass closet. Nobody had to ask him. They knew it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what it is, Yeah. Chat says lesbian hockey is untapped as an untapped well. Truly. I understand. I've seen a lot of the criticisms around the show, and I think a lot of it is really valid. I do think, and listen, so I grew up did you guys grow up here? This is the real question. So I grew up reading a lot of like erotica, but I never liked fan fiction except in high school. And then once I graduated high school, I was over it. And I don't like gayifying characters to write porn. So I don't like the Malfoy, Harry Potter, fucking erotica stuff. Like, that stuff is not interesting to me. It also feels really weird. Like, I think I would feel very strange if I don't know. I get it. It's a part of growing. I get it's a part of our process. I get a lot of my girlfriends were super into it. I'm just not that girly. It feels too fetishizing for me. I don't like fetishizing people's orientations, aesthetics, races, genders. Like, I do not like that. Chet says you don't like yaoi. What's yaoi? Is that boy love or whatever? I don't even know what that is. Hold on, I have to look it up. Is a Japanese genre of fictional media, often manga, focusing on no, I don't care about it. I like a good story, but I don't like it as a genre. If the story is good, I'll watch it. Like, there was a Chinese anime that I was watching, or a Chinese one that I was watching that I was like, oh, I like this. And there was like a subtext of them being in love, but I just liked the story. And I was like, okay, I'll watch this, but I don't watch it for it. Like Yuri on Ice, I thought it was funny. I didn't finish it because I got bored, but I'm not going to watch Yuri on Ice because it's two boys kissing or two boys being, whatever. I'm just going to be like, okay. Like, does that make sense? Like, I'm never going to watch something because I'm horny. Like, I used to do that in my young years for sure, especially when I was closeted and like a virgin. Definitely, like, watching TV shows was my porn because there was so much sex in them. But now that I'm older, like, no, I don't know, it fizzled out. Like, I don't even have the thought anymore. You know what I mean? But I'm not shaming anybody for it. I just think, like, I definitely think I'd have a problem dating somebody. Like, I don't know if I could be married to somebody who is like, oh my God, men are so hot when they kiss. I'd be like, okay, like, I don't know what that means, but like, I love watching gay porn. It's like, okay. Like, again, here's the thing. We're going to talk about this a lot today. When I say something, my tone is very important. Okay, actually, I want to show you this video my friend sent me because they were trying to help me with my Croatian. And this is, why is this so big? This is really interesting. Look at this. I'm going to explain this because I think it's really important for today. The first topic we're going to talk about is tone. And I know everybody thinks they're so fucking good at understanding people, but you don't understand people. Okay. And I didn't know, like, it wasn't obvious for people. Like, hello, every inflection matters and is different. Okay. Hold on. Can I pause Instagram or is it auto play?
So I'm learning.
No, okay. So let's watch this video because I think it's important. When we talk and have conversations and I say, like, I don't want to be with somebody who's like, ooh, men are so hot when they kiss. I don't mean that in the way like a conservative would say it. Like, a conservative would be like, ew, gay porn is so gross, it's a sin. But what I mean to say is like, I'm not really into you like fetishizing people for their orientation. Do you know what I mean? It's a different commentary because of the place it's coming from. So this woman was talking about learning a new language, and a lot of Croatian, it's a kind of a tonal language, but she's learning Vietnamese, and she overlapped it with the AAVE in a really interesting way. And I just want to show you this in case like you also struggle with this, but like I heavily rely on tonality when I'm listening to people, which is why it's interesting that autistic people, quote, can't read tone. I don't know if that's true because I feel like I'm really good at reading most tone because I rely on it so heavily. Like that's why I say we can all be saying the same thing, but it has different meanings based off the tone. I know that. I literally know that. So yeah, I can sometimes be like, is this sarcasm? I can't hear the tone, but hello. So listen to this. Watch this.
Learning Vietnamese, and baby, I am struggling with these tones. Then I remembered AAVE is also a tonal language. Let's start with the simple word hey. This neutral state, hey, that's just a greeting. It means hello. Now let's add a dot to the E. Hey, that's a warning. A whole new definition. We're not speaking no more. We are warning you might get your kicked. We're going to take that same E and Y. We're going to add a rising tone. We're going to say, hey. That's a compliment. That's like, girl, we see you. Now let's go down with it. Let's say, hey. That really means I don't want to be bothered. I'm only speaking to you to be polite. We're going to add that little squiggly thing. We're going to be like, hey. That's a dance move. Hey, ho, hey, oh. And last we have hey with a question mark. You hear that one? You might want to run. Hey, don't hey me. Because I know I told you to wash them dishes out that sink and they still there. Go hey up in that kitchen. Hey there. And that's how I'm learning Vietnamese as a Black American living in Vietnam.
Okay, I found this to be incredibly helpful. Like, it was definitely like, oh yeah, like, because again, this is how I understand people. So when I say like, you're not getting what I'm saying, it would be like if I said, hey, and they read it as, hey, like these are two different heys and you're misunderstanding me. This is also like why it's so important when your partner's like, hey, I was like, hey, are you okay? And like understanding the vibe, like, you know, so for me, very helpful, very good for my brain to be like, okay, this is good, but also it's good for us as a community to understand that there are differences in how people say things. So how you say things matters, okay? And I understand this as somebody who's trying to work on the way she presents for work, especially because this is a professional setting. And I understand it's a very casual professional setting that I'm trying to make a little bit more serious. What I'm trying to do is bring the right hey to work, okay? I'm trying to bring the right energy to the job, and I'm not there consistently. So sometimes like my tonality or like the way I'm saying, like, so people are like, oh, you're so angry. I haven't even expressed anger yet, right? Like I haven't even expressed anger yet, but they hear anger. And I'm like, no, you're reading the wrong, you're hearing the wrong thing from me. And that's so frustrating, but it's okay. Like, I get it. But like, that's part of the problem that we're having with the internet is like, people will watch the same content creator and come away with a completely different message because of the way we hear things. And I'm saying we are all responsible, you and me both, in understanding each other, you know? So when I see a comment and go, hey, can you like expand on this just so I understand where you're coming from? Because we all read messages in a tone. When I read your messages, I'm like, sometimes I'll go off on a commenter and they're like, no, Brittany, I meant it like this. And I'm like, my bad. I read it like this. And see how that changes everything. But see how you just corrected me. And I'm like, my bad. And then we get back on track. The issue is when I say, no, you've got this wrong. And you go, no, I don't. Now, I understand people lie and there's some deception that can come into play. And then you don't want to double guess yourself. That's why you're good faith until you have enough data not to be, right? I'll be good faith with you and I'll assume you really mean that, but then you have to show up and act accordingly as time moves on, right? Okay. So, to move us into this next dialogue that I want to have, before we get to our two main topics, because we have two main topics and a lot of videos to go over. I want to kind of review a little bit of what happened yesterday. First of all, great stream and shout out to 99% of you. You did great. I felt seen, I felt heard, I felt respectively disagreed with. And for the people that I'm going to be talking about today and highlighting today, obviously I'll be highlighting the people I did not feel that way with, for the most part. Some people I did, some people I didn't, but okay, let me rephrase. Some of the comments I'll go over will be people who didn't hear me. Some of the comments I'll go over with people who didn't hear me, but I can see why maybe they misunderstood. So I just want to add clarification. Okay. It was a great stream. It was really triggering for some people. And, some people had to make like declarations about why they had to leave. And that's fair. But it's interesting when you hear like why, especially since, this is such a in the moment space. Like you really can't just in real time, I can read your message and you can correct me, or in real time, we can debate about it, or in real time, like you have so much access to me right now because I am such a small streamer. There's really almost no way I won't see your comment unless I purposely say like, hey, I can't answer that right now. Right. So you have so much ability to really get clarification. And what's interesting is the stubbornness of people being unable to accept that, like, you don't understand what I'm saying. And when you say back to me in a way that makes me feel seen, I will confirm with you. And again, people don't get it because they're like, no, I do get it. If you do, then why are you still arguing with me? Right? Okay. Before we get into that, I just want to reset us. Okay. For the state of the world and what's going on. Because again, I know what I'm doing here. I have a very specific purpose and I'm fulfilling that purpose. I don't know what everyone else is doing here, but I know what I'm doing here. And this video stood out to me. What do you guys think about it? What are your thoughts?
True, and it's really need to get a grip on the whole world is ending vibe that we're passing around right now, because it's not true and it's super unhelpful. This isn't me diminishing how terrible things are, because it feels like there is a tragedy happening right now in literally every corner of the world in ways that we could not fathom any earlier in life. It's not like we jumped into a more evil timeline or anything. The world has always been like this in at least some capacity. And at least in the United States, this isn't even the worst it's ever been. We just know about it now. Again, this isn't to diminish the current moment, because it is horrible. It is horrific. It is the end of the world as we knew it. And it is some of the worst things that we've experienced in our lifetimes. But we also need to get a grip on reality for a minute to realize like the hand we've been dealt and how to operate accordingly. A lot of us are grieving American democracy as we knew it and the rise of a fascist government, and that's incredibly valid. But also, A, it's not fascism all of a sudden because it's now happening to white people, and B, this isn't the first fascist government in the entire world. We have historical precedent and knowledge and know-how and skills and generations before us to reference to figure out how to get out of this a little faster than before if we locked in. A lot of us are grieving the rollback of our rights and protections, rightfully so, but to roll them back means we had rolled them forward at some point. We can do it again and faster now because now we understand what we're working with and what needs to be done. A lot of us are grieving tragedy on a global scale because it feels like, again, there is something wrong in every corner of the world. But it's also because we are so interconnected now in a way that we have not been in history, that we now know something is happening in every corner of the world. These aren't brand new events. They are just brand new to us because we now get to be connected. It means that we now can have the knowledge and stand in solidarity with each other to back each other up again if we locked in. Again, this isn't to diminish from all of the horrible things happening right now and the incredibly valid grief and anger and frustration and disappointment people are experiencing. But also, a lot of it comes from the fact that we just know more now and we are more connected now. And when you think about it, not in that pessimistic way, but even in a realistic way, that's actually a really good thing.
Yeah. So Chet says, what is lock in? Lock in is literally like focus. Like, when you're kind of distracted from a task and then you lock in and you really like clean the house. It's like that, like lock in. I really like this idea in TikTok, and I think it coincides with a lot of my beliefs around the world. For me, when I think about people thinking like the world is ending, I think of them like not investing in their retirement, not thinking about their future, not thinking they could ever own a house. It's not exactly about owning a house. It doesn't matter if you buy a house. That's not a decision you have to make. It's the idea that you're like, why even try? What do you mean, why even try? What about all the people who experience like Jim Crow and the Depression and the Holocaust? And you were just like, yeah, but like, why try? What do you mean, why try? What do you mean? For the same reason we all try, Obviously, you can give up if you want. No one's going to, it's your life. But that's not really going to help. So again, the world is a reflection of us as a whole. That's the hard part to accept. It's really hard to be a good person, but the world really is a reflection of us as a whole. And I think that's a part of the disconnect, right? Okay, now, as an example, hold on. Let me go over this first. Okay. So you know how the other day I put out that Pearl video, the Anna Pearl video? Okay, just look at this. This video has 20,000 views. Guys, you know I never get 20,000 views on this channel. You know that. That's not a norm for this channel. And I kept thinking to myself, how do I have 20,000 views and 282 likes and like more than 60% dislikes? How did that happen? People kept clicking on this video because they thought it was the whole debate. They can't socially process that this is obviously a commentary channel. And this is obviously like my channel, Brittany Simon. Why the fuck would I be at this debate? Like they can't process that this wasn't the video for the debate. This is a reaction channel, okay? Now, if you scroll down, there's a bunch of comments. Okay, you talk too much. Yes, chat says I see many commenters are unfamiliar with your channel. Bleeding eyes. Okay, that's a viewer right there. I know that one. You know, shout out to her. Okay, so you scroll down and it says, hold on, wait. LOL, can't watch because you won't shut the fuck up. Goddamn, your fake ass voice is like nails to the chalkboard. That is not how you really talk. Stop sounding so pretentious. It's autism. You fucking ableist. It's autism. Okay. LOL, stopping the video every 30 seconds is crazy. You know, your argument is one-sided and all in favor of women having the power. Okay. How can anybody listen to this idiot? It's like, okay, you know, Jesus just let the debate go, interrupting every 2 minutes, switched off because I couldn't be arsed. It's like, okay. You are a simpleton. Okay, piece of advice, don't constantly talk over the video. Let it run for a bit, then provide your input. You're so contradicting. You think it before you speak, Brittany, and stop rambling on. Just because you speak with your eyes wide doesn't mean you are talking facts. Okay. You are whiny, not progressive. Oh man, you know, it's just like, okay. And like, yeah, just like confused. Did they think you were gonna just react by sitting there? Well, okay, so it's like the double-edged sword. Hassan gets up to go or eats while watching. Oh, he's not commenting enough. Oh, he's Satan. Brittany talks too much. She's reacting too much. No one's ever happy. You can't win. You can't win in a world that's like, you're not reacting enough. You're reacting too much. Okay? It's like, you know, it's just whatever. Okay, so we'll get into this. Now, this is the wanna have your cake and eat it too problem that I'm seeing a lot on the internet, right? We're gonna talk about Hassan today. By the way, just a reminder, I don't think Hassan is a bad person. I don't even dislike Hassan. Like, that's what's so funny. It's just that Hassan is in the position of power that he's in, so he has to be talked about. But this is so funny. Okay, so people on my comment today, on yesterday's commentary. Okay, so this is the channel, this is the video. I got some really nice comments, right? Like, thank you, Brittany, for addressing this. Something is happening where a large amount of people are having a hard time understanding what they're hearing and agreeing with whatever sounds good, low key. Feels like I'm going crazy when I read comments, even misunderstanding what you're saying about Dr. K, Hassan, or Kat, let alone understanding Dr. K in the context or situation. Yeah, I think there's something happening. Like, everyone's always like, ChatGPT is rotting your brain and AI is rotting your brain and no one's thinking anymore. And then all of a sudden everyone thinks they're the thinker. Like, they just came out with a new study. I don't know. I saw it on TikTok, so I have to confirm if it's even real. That like people who are using ChatGPT on a regular writing their own essays and stuff are like 47% less likely or like more impacted negatively. I don't know. It was something crazy this morning. I was like, Jesus Christ. I don't know, because I'm not doing that. I don't use ChatGPT like that, you know? I barely use it. I just use it to help me write descriptions and stuff because I'm fucking disabled. But like, I literally don't even use it to do anything. I don't search with it. I don't Google with it. I don't think about it that way. Okay. And I know a lot of people in my audience are protesting it too. So like, that's great too. But like, it's not even that thing. So again, like, I can't even imagine using it as like the resource. You know, if you're going to do that, whatever, that's your values, your morals, you got to deal with that. But I just like, I'm not doing that, bro. So it's kind of like, I have to realize that the quality of the observation is also going to be down. But even more than that, it's just the reality of being in a space where like nobody's really serious, right? So when I say serious, I mean like having a fully fleshed conversation that isn't focused on bigotry and being hateful, right? Because like, I don't want the future to be the best ways to be bigoted. Like watching this Love is Blind, right? Love is Blind episode where they start bonding over their homophobia. Like, no, like stop bonding over your homophobia. Like it's cute, you know, like it's not cute. Okay. So, okay. Lots of nice comments, guys. Lots of nice. Appreciate you so much. Not lots of nice comments. It's really nice. Scroll. Okay. So this is the first comment, just really fast. Very nice person. No hate to this person. They said, hold on. I really like the point that everyone is at a different point in their journey. I get when you say it's important to hold creators accountable, but is it truly possible for a creator to say something that can probably communicate the right message to everyone at the same time? No. Great point. No, I don't think so. I do not think it is possible, right? I think that's the problem. And so we have to be willing to understand we might be seeing somebody on a bad day. We might be misunderstanding them. They might have said it a little sloppy. Maybe they said a word they didn't even realize they said, because how many times has that happened to me? How many times do I say the wrong word? A lot. So we have to, it's a relationship with each other to see where the other person is coming from. And remember, when I talk about the boy bubbles, we'll get into this in a second, people don't understand what that means. It's like saying the Catholic bubbles or the political bubbles or the Trump bubbles. Like, they don't understand what I mean when I say it. So let's talk about it, because this is very important. And this is the point. This is what proves every time somebody leaves me a comment like this, they're just making my argument stronger and they don't even realize it. And that's what I think is interesting. If you are seriously thinking there's going to be an understanding. You remember when Jordan Peterson, boo, and Richard Dawkins, boo. Jordan Peterson was trying to get Richard Dawkins to play with his metaphor about the dragon. And I was like, oh, I want to play with dragons. And Richard Dawkins like, I don't want to play with dragons. I'm a scientist. Boo. No. See, this is why you're a transphobe. Both of you. Because you're not actually curious. You're not actually engaging in philosophical thought. You know? And I'm saying, be serious, bro. And same with Jordan Peterson. He lets his fear make him so bigoted, you know? It's like, come on, let's do this together. Let's have a serious conversation, right? Okay. Now, okay. Hold on, there was something else here. Hold on. Yeah, I think this person was also expressing something really like valid, where it's like all this, let's see, Cat Black watching Dr. K at the beginning. Yeah, she did take some of his words uncharitably, but when you said that Dr. K's content isn't targeted for women, I know you've said this a lot, but I've never fully understood. Okay, here's something I want to say, because I think this is like forgetting. Okay, I am not in Dr. K's audience. I watch Dr. K. I am not his audience. Do we know what that means? Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense to everybody, so I want to make sure people understand. So when I say like, yeah, I'm not Dr. K's audience, but I watch Dr. K, I'm saying he isn't coming to work thinking, let me help the 36-year-old successful full-time creative who pays singular rent for her household and is literally more happy and joyful than 99% of the population. Dr. K did not sit down and say, oh yeah, you know who I need to make content for? Britney. I am not his audience. I am a viewer. Okay, that's the difference between kind of like a fan of somebody, right? And a viewer of somebody, right? There is a distinctive difference. There's a totally different relationship with the creator. That's why Dr. K's fans react differently than his viewers, because they're different audiences, you know? And so when we have these conversations, you have to think about those things. Chad says, how would you describe your target audience? My target audience is progressive, philosophical, not afraid to be wrong. I want them to be, when I think about the person I want watching me, somebody who's deeply interested in the why. When I think about making content, I think about attracting a very, like, I say progressive, so therefore it usually caters more towards like a femme person, but realistically it's more like a queer, or like more just like a very reassured, like a confident person. Like the men who watch me, the women who watch me, the they, thems, like the people who watch me are relatively confident, even if they're anxious or insecure, right? Very curious, but very introspective. Yeah. Yeah. So like, that's what I think of, because, you know, I am talking about very serious topics here, and it takes a lot of humility. Discourse at adults. Yes, and adults, not kids. I never think about children. I never think about teenagers. I don't even think about people in their early 20s or late teens. I'm mostly thinking about people who are also like, you know, growing with me in a way, you know, in some way. But yeah, grown ass humans, like grown-ups, you know, like I do think about grown-ups. Which I guess, hold on, does that bring me to the comment? Let me see. This comment here says, I honestly don't think it's fair to talk about Dr. K's audience of young men as school shooters. I don't think the vast majority of young men who are so far gone to shoot up a school would be listening to Dr. K. I don't think the vast majority of young men who are so far gone they shoot up a school would be listening to Dr. K. Dr. K just appeared in front of the board and made it clear, right, that he is talking to red pill, black pill, incel spaces. Obviously, they're not all school shooters. That's what I'm saying. Like, I know the rest of the world says all, but on this channel, we are never talking about every single person. But it's obviously clear that he is trying to help men who are identifying with communities that have basically, you know, given into nihilism and depression. They're struggling. Okay? Like, my commentary was trying to get through to my feminist progressive audience. Like, Dr. K isn't trying to appeal to crypto bros. Like, Dr. K isn't Andrew Tate or the Red Pill or Hamza. They're not trying to appeal to bros to be like, you gotta be rich. You gotta get Bugatti. That's not Dr. K. Dr. K's like, hey, bro, I see you're suffering. Yeah, you don't feel like a man. You don't know what to do in the world. You don't even know what it means to be a person. I got you. I've been there too. Let's talk about it. That's Dr. K. Like, it's a completely different bubble. You know what I mean? So again, like, when I say like the school shooters, I mean the category in which school shooters tend to be produced from. Lonely men. You know what I mean? Like, lonely men is his category of men, and those men tend to be bigoted, racist, misogynist school shooters. I'm not saying every single one is a school shooter, but why are we sitting here and pretending men aren't responsible for 90-something+% of violence in the world? And that school shootings aren't incredibly up. 300 shootings in America a year? What are we talking about? Okay? Like, what are we even talking about? You know? And so when we have these conversations, it's like, please be serious. People are dying. Men are taking guns to school and shooting children. Little babies, bro. Can we please grow up? Okay, it's not funny. And so, like, you're sitting here saying, like, oh, it's unfair. You paint men this way. Bro. And then they go on to say, I also disagree with the statement about 2% of his audience being salvageable. Young people, including young men, are very malleable, and have a large capacity to change quite drastically. Oh yeah? Tell that to school teachers that are struggling with their male students. Tell that with parents who aren't talking to their kids. We know it's hard to change. This statement is for the people that are criticizing Dr. K, who say, oh, well, how much of his audience gets better? I don't know, like 2%, 10%? Right? Like, what does it matter? His job is not to make his audience better. His job is to provide them with tools. It's their jobs to make themselves better. And yes, I would love intervention and preventative care to be taken seriously. But if those boys don't get it, that's the point we're making. If they do not get that intervention, there will be problems. Okay? Yes, chat says, I love that you've been saying men as a system because it's so true. Not just men, but them as a full-blown system is harmful. Exactly. Exactly. Okay? So you have to remember, like, I'm not just saying these things. You can disagree all you want. And, like, I'm okay with that. But, like, you know, Okay, this person says, I'm honestly confused why you're so willing to assign good intentions to him. I'm honestly so confused why you're willing to assign good intentions to him because I watch his content and based off the data, he seems to have good intentions. And this person, like, do you know him personally? No. See the double-edged sword of you guys asking me, who do I watch on YouTube? Who do you like on YouTube? What do you mean, who do I like on YouTube? Do you mean, who am I assigning good intentions to? Like, what? This is why I'm saying, like, can we please be serious about these questions? Of course I don't know him personally. You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? You know, like, think about that concept. Like, think about the questions you're asking, right? I don't care if you don't like Dr. K, by the way. Just a reminder for everyone who missed the memo, and I know it wasn't you guys, but I don't care if you like Dr. K. But when you ask me, hey, why do you like Dr. K? And I tell you, do you know why you don't like Dr. K? Because if you don't watch his content and you've never seen him before, but you hate him, that's okay. But why are you talking to me about it? You know? Like, why are you talking to me about it? If you want to hate someone just because of the way they look, I get it. There are plenty of YouTubers that come across my feed where I'm like, no. I literally don't even know why, but I'm like, don't like you. I don't go and publicize it or like, fight over it. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Let's see. Did I miss any comments before I go to the next one? Let me see. Does anyone else think Kat mistook Dr. K as an incel? Yeah, I think people think of Dr. K. I also don't know why people aren't asking themselves if they're maybe judging him because he's brown. Why isn't anybody talking about intersectionality when talking about Dr. K? I don't understand why I'm the only one bringing it up. Because I know liberals make fun of Dr. K for being spiritual. That's why I think the intersectionality really matters. Isn't it funny, though, that none of these people are bringing up the intersectionality? That's why I say, are you just feminists? Are you intersectional feminists? Where is the intersectionality here? You know? I'm just very confused at the criticisms with the lack of I don't understand this analysis. Okay. Then this person who, to be fair, this commenter and I have really gone through it the last month. They have been really triggered by my content lately. Fine. They said, you think Kat is grifting? ? Have you seen what's happening in this country? Sigh. I've understood it's coming for us to part ways, Brittany. This is your job, as you often say, a strange thing. Indeed, because content creation lends itself to commenting, especially the kind you do. I have this discernment to see you are no longer for me. And also, while Dr. K has his context, so does Kat and her audience, and you and yours. So certain of yourself and what is right despite, I will not bother, ... I will not bother. You know enough to know you're not there yet. We throw up our hands. Peace be with you. I got a comment on stream saying, do you think Kat is grifting? And I explicitly said, no, I don't think that at all. And then this person was like, you think Kat is grifting? What am I supposed to do with that? Do you know what I'm saying? What am I supposed to do with that? And then they have the audacity to be like, oh, Brittany just wants to pretend like nobody understands her. Girl, I literally said, not grifting. I literally said not grifting. Okay, and that's the point. The point is I wake up every day and I read these comments and I get the feedback. So I know why you think you know better than me and why you think you understand me, but how can you understand me when you said something I didn't even say? I did not even say that. I didn't even say it, girl, okay? Okay, now, chat says, hold on. Did I miss anything? Hold on. Chat says, I'm newish here. Hello. I'm 23, so I'm just taking it all in. Love listening to people talk about things, especially stuff like this. Me too. Welcome. Okay. Discord said, this is why I don't have the patience to be a YouTuber. It's like, girl, I'm gonna, again, with peace and love, I try really hard to explain myself. But hold on. Where did that comment go? Was it not on this video? It must have been on this. Give me a second. I had to have been on this. Hold on, give me a second. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da. Was it on a different? Oh, this. It had to have been this one. Where did the comment go? Hold on, I have to go into my actual comments as a YouTuber because it was here earlier. I prepped. Now it's gone. Okay. See. Da 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 da. Chad says, "Hope you're doing all right, Britt." I'm doing great. Like that's the thing. Okay. I live for this. Like that's the thing. This is my special interest. You know. The issue though is that this isn't other people's special interest. So that's the problem. I think it's like when you meet somebody who really loves a topic, and it's like meeting somebody who really likes video games, and then you're like, "Oh, I like video games too. I play Mario Kart." They're like, "Cool. Do you play anything else?" And you're like, "No." "Do you know how games work?" "No." "Do you know anything about Nintendo?" "No." And it's like, oh, like you get really excited somebody likes something you like, but they don't like it as much as you. So then it's like, you can't have the same kind of conversation with it, okay? This is crazy, bros. I had this comment prepped and it disappeared. They couldn't have deleted it. No way. Wait. This is it right here. How is it right here, but it's not over there? You know what? I'm going to have to show you this. That's so weird. Oh my God. It's like a fucking novel. Okay. I'll show you this screen. I show you this screen. Show you behind the scenes. Okay. So, okay. So I got this comment. Look at this, girls. Look at this. Look at this fucking manifesto. Oh my God. I honestly almost never read comments. If I see this, I usually go like, that's great. I'm not reading all that. Like, I almost never read comments this long, but I decided to do it because I was drinking my coffee this morning. Okay. Or whenever I answered this comment. Okay. Right? It says, Britt, speaking as somebody who literally feels music moving under my skin, I'm so positively attuned to it that my Spotify minutes for last year were over 20,000, which was 20% decline from years previous. That my brain is so obsessed with processing musical patterns that I walk into this is an autistic person, obviously. As I walked into my first lesson with a jazz drum master at the 5th grade level, after only 2 months of learning a few hours a day alone with a single textbook, it took me 2 months of lessons for him to believe. Girl, have you heard of a period or a comma? When I told him I'd never had a lesson before, in fact, he thought I was lying through my teeth until he saw blah, blah, blah. Being a leader in the community does not, okay, ready? Listen, okay, I skipped all that. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Because I never stopped seeing. Okay, I'm telling you, your take on Hassan and music is absolutely cuckoo bananas. And you seriously need to meditate on it, not Hassan. Being a leader in the community does not mean you are connected or gifted to add every aspect of what builds good community. When did I say that? When did I say that? This is it. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, girl. This is why I say I want to talk to somebody who's serious, or I almost want to be able to have a call-in show where people call in, because honestly, I'm tempted. I might even try it where I do a little Discord call-in show, like, and I make it, you know, just that window public. But then I'm going to get all the haters coming on to throw me slurs. I just know it. But it is such a bad thought. Like this is not a good thought because I didn't say that. Okay. You said, in fact, that's actually an extreme conservative mode of thinking that leads people to worshiping morons like Elon Musk, assuming they are gifted, knowledgeable, talented, and everything, or that they should be because of their social status and power. Not what I was saying. Okay? Chess is losing my mind every time someone thinks you're being literal when you use Hassan not listening to music as an example to why you don't fuck with him. Oh my God, not even that I don't fuck with him, but that I think everything about the way you speak tells me about yourself. And that I have so many questions about Hassan, given that I just don't think he's very introspective. I don't think he doesn't go to therapy. He doesn't ask himself why. And P.S., I know this because as much as I'm not a fan of Hassan and I'm not his audience, I do watch Hassan. Because I want to know what's up. I don't watch everything I see of Hassan, but I do understand, okay, a little bit.
Music that like for my whole life, I don't know what it is, okay? I've never been able to like, I guess I've never been able to like recall lyrics, and I have really bad recall when it comes to like popular culture in general. Like if you were to gun to my head 5 songs, I can't do it. Like I literally can't do it. And this is not like a post-COVID parts of my brain have holes in it type. Like I have always been this person. I am like, I'm so, I don't know what it is. It might be because I'm like tone deaf or something. I don't know. It's just I can never like I don't think I consume music in the same way that normal people do. And it's always been a gripe that I've had. Okay. It's always been an issue. But it's,
Do you get what I'm saying? I'll let this finish. But chat says, you know, you can ensure only serious people call. Guys, no, pause. The best calls on stream are not with serious people. They'd be with haters. 2, because that'd be the most entertaining, right? 2, serious people would never call into the Discord because they have a life. That's why the calls would be for people that are not even in my audience. If I opened up calls, it would not be people who watch me on the regular. It would probably be people who are coming to argue with me or people who watch me but are angry at me. Because you have to remember, right? Like the way the ecosystem works on the internet is you're not going to have a good call doing collaborations with people who get along with you. That's like the truth. The best calls come from people challenging each other, but it usually comes from somebody being just like really bullheaded, you know? Because like the exploration into thoughts, like that's a very specific thing. So again, I'm not saying, like I'm saying I would almost open calls up for the haters because they're the ones who are going to give the best content. Like, why do you think I think that? Like, and then all of us, obviously I'm going to look amazing. Like that's the problem. It's just good for me. I'm going to look great. I'm going to look so smart, but the bar is in hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. Do I really have to let on these people for people to understand I know what I'm talking about? Damn. You know?
especially as I've gotten older, this thing that's like integral to so many people's lives, so many people's existence, is simply not a part of my life. I know it's weird. I know it's messed up. Anyway, on that note, I do love artists. Like artists are fantastic people. They're very cool people. And like when I listen to a song, I can get hyped up. But it is very odd for me. And I know it's odd. I know I'm the weird one. I know I'm the weirdo.
Chad says he does listen to music when he works out. Well, he just did an interview where he said he didn't listen to music when he works out. That's the thing is like, look, I'm sure there's so much nuance to Hasan and who he is. And I'm saying he deserves to be treated with that nuance. I'm saying that, you know, I'm waiting for the clip of Hasan that tells me like, oh, he's doing the work, right? You know, he talks about it every day and he posts his workouts. Then why does he say, even as a joke, he doesn't listen to music? Why would he do a formal interview with a publication and say he doesn't listen to music? Do you know what I'm saying? What's the meme? What's the joke? Because I think it's really important to encourage people to listen to music. You know what I mean? But if he's being autistic in the same way that I would be autistic and say like, oh yeah, I don't like watch Hasan, but obviously I watch Hasan, but I don't watch Hasan, right? I'm saying this like, it would be interesting if he could take into consideration like the branding in a sense, but also understand it won't be perfect, but it's interesting, right? Because he has no time to listen to music as an activity. What does that mean? What does that mean? He has no time to listen to music as an activity. I don't know. I don't know what that means, right? He's on stream all of the time. Yeah, but isn't that the point? He doesn't have a work-life balance. He isn't a healthy person. Don't you get what I'm trying to say? Like, Hasan, when I talk about leadership and I'm talking about Hasan, I'm saying like, is this your leader? The man who has no work-life balance? Are these the people that are like our goals here? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, Aren't we sick of men who can't go home and spend time with their kids because they have no work-life balance? You think it's different when you're single, right? Chad says he admits that he's too much online. Yeah, I know, Habibi, you don't have to bat for Hassan. I'm saying, do you know what my criticism is, right? Oh, chat, oh my God, chat. You're like, he's not recommending his life to anyone. Yeah, neither did Destiny when he was being a predator. Listen to yourselves. It doesn't matter. That's exactly what Destiny used to say to me. Well, I'm not recommending my lifestyle to anyone. It doesn't matter. It's bad. It doesn't matter that you're not recommending it. It's not healthy. Why do men do this? Why do people do this? Oh, well, I'm not recommending my life. And? Okay. And? What does that mean? Why do you think that's an answer? That's not an answer. That is literally proving my point. That is literally proving my point. He tells people to have a life. You know what I'm saying? Okay? Do you know what I'm saying? Isn't this beautiful though? Doesn't this just prove my point so wonderfully? I'm not even saying Hassan is unique. I'm saying most people are having a literal meaning crisis. And we're like, what could be the reason? Even when you are privileged, in the most privileged position you could be in, you still don't have time to just listen to music. You don't have the ability to spend time with your family or go to therapy. You are in the most privileged. You are the goal. Most people think if I could just be as rich as Hassan, my life would be liberated. But you see how money is not the liberator? See how Hassan isn't liberating himself while he's bothering talking about liberation? Do it for yourself first. Okay? Do it for yourself first, right? You said he spends time with his family every night after work. You just said he works so much he can't listen to music. You just said he works so much he can't listen to music. Which one is it? Does he have time to hang out with family or not? Because when I'm hanging out with my family, we're listening to music. We're playing music together. So what do you mean? Right? Do you get how people tell stories? Why wouldn't Hassan say, oh, I love music. I listen to it with my family all the time? There should be 0 clips of him saying time and time again he doesn't listen to music. But there is too many clips, which means he is letting this version of himself get out there on purpose. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Okay? So stop being a fan and focus. Stop defending Hassan. He's not your friend. Start just looking at him like a public figure that people are looking at. And just understand that he's like every other man who's engaging in a weird brag that he works so much. Also, I hang out with family. Oh, but I work so much. It's like, okay, girls, again, are we going to learn from real people's lives to improve our own or not? Okay? That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he has to listen to music, by the way. Just for the record, he doesn't have to listen to music. If he actually knew why he didn't listen to music, it'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm not saying Hassan, by the way, Hassan doesn't matter. He's just a representation of everybody in his category. So then this commenter goes on and rants, right? My jaw dropped when I saw that was your your recent reason for why you think Hassan should not be followed. I never said that. I never said stop following Hassan. I never said he was a bad person. I never said anything. I never have ever told you guys to stop following Hassan. Have I ever made that prescription? No. That's what I'm saying. I don't give a fuck if you watch. I have some of my closest friends watch Hassan every day. I don't give a fuck. Watch Hassan. You know what I mean? What do I care? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. How did you bother to write this whole comment? Did you use ChatGPT? When I didn't even say any of those things. I was really expecting something about him being misogynistic or permissive in some inappropriate behavior, which, by the way, we've already gone over with Hassan because he obviously has problems. Okay. Not that he chooses podcasts to listen to over music while he works out. I nearly clicked off altogether, which, by the way, guys, and that's what I'm saying. And we're not even, even chatter. Why are you defending Hassan? What do you think you're doing in my chat? I'm not attacking him. I'm observing. An observation is not an attack. This is what I'm observing. Do you understand what I'm saying? But why do you feel that need? See, what was that thing inside of you that's like, oh, I have to let Brittany know? What is that? Instead of saying, oh, I see how Hassan put out that content. It's interesting that those are the parts of him that go viral. You said, I just don't like mischaracterizations. Well, neither do I. But don't you understand that given Hassan's positioning, those mischaracterizations in this context only existed because he gave the answer? I am an incredibly good faith person. I never even cared about this until he kept answering it time and time again. And then I was like, why does he keep saying this? Why does he keep saying it? I could not have these clips unless he kept saying, I don't listen to music. Why does he keep saying this at all? Why does he even say it even one time? Right? I'm saying, why do you keep getting formally interviewed and asked about this? And then this is what I'm saying. I promise you, I just find it interesting. And you know what? I think he knows that. I think he knows it will go viral. So part of me thinks he's malicious a little bit. Like, not malicious capital, like malicious capitalist. Because you know that shit's gonna go viral. It's a weird thing to say. Like, oh, you know? Okay. Chad says, I remember being on this stream and feeling I watch him almost daily. Why is Brett bringing this as an issue? But I'm trying to listen to understand. Okay, so then this chatter goes, this is why serious folks don't engage. I know why you think this, you don't know, but I do, so let me tell you how you feel takes are so absurd. Wisdom is not reactive like this. Even if it's not the intention, it does come off as envious to continuously harp. It's been years since leaving the boy bubbles, but there is a near daily rant about how awful one of them are. As if there's no other examples in a world of abling people. She doesn't see how fixated it comes across, and the refusal to engage with how it appears shows a lack of willingness to understand communication is a two-way street. No, not everyone who critiques just doesn't get it. And it's fascinating to see the deflection every time, or the irritation calling people's takes stupid, calling them liberals so she can dismiss them, even if asking if they have a job. It's fascinating to watch, though. I guess we can all learn how not to explain ourselves if we want to be understood. Guys, is Hassan not the biggest creator? Is Destiny not doing deals with, like, is he not one of the biggest debate bros? Are these people not famous? Do they not want bigger audiences? Is Ethan Klein not always in the news? What do you want from me? It's like they want their cake and they want to eat it too. You want to be famous and in the news, but you don't want anyone to talk about you. Are you going viral every minute or not? Okay? It's like, which one is it, girl? That's what I'm saying. And I left the boy bubbles, meaning I'm not engaging with them personally or work-wise. It doesn't mean I'm not talking about them at my job. You know what I mean? It's like if I talked about Trump every day. Oh, what? I can't talk about Trump every day? You know? Right? Chet says, in all fairness, maybe Hassan's brain works in a way where music doesn't make sense for his brain. He could be that person, but I do agree with your take that it is a red flag. Okay, but guys. Have I not said 1,000 times, if he knew why his brain worked that way, that would be an acceptable answer? It's the fact that he's not even interested in figuring it out that I find interesting. Why aren't we getting that? This is a philosophy channel that asks why. What do you think introspection is? How can you come and watch me do philosophy and then wonder why I think it's interesting Hassan doesn't know why he does something? Don't you, right? Like think about the context, you know? Think about the context of this channel. Think about, and by the way, now imagine why I love philosophy and why it isn't a normie thing to like, because it literally forces you to say why 1,000 times forever. Okay? Chet says, I don't like avocados. If I were famous, would people talk about why I don't like avocados? How weird and strange that makes me. In every interview where somebody asked you if you liked avocados, would you say no, but you don't know why? Yeah, I'd be really curious. Why don't you like avocados? You know? Chet says, I will say that unless you're in the group, you may not see how non-serious you are about the Hassan music take, but I think you do accidentally come across a bit extreme when referring to it. You know, when we first started talking about it, it was funny. But then people didn't get it. And then I was shocked that you didn't get it, right? So then I was like explaining why it was interesting. And then you were like, you're being too serious about this. But you're the ones who didn't get why it was interesting in the first place. And I'm saying this is why it's interesting. And everyone's like, it's not that serious. You know what, girls? You better figure out your shit. Okay. So, as an example, why did I get an autism diagnosis? You know, why did I get an autism diagnosis? Because I notice things like the music thing. Like Hassan likes to say he's autistic, but then he doesn't know why he's having this relationship with music. Well, don't you want to know why? This is why I think politics is where people go to die. Their brains go to die. Because you literally don't want to know why or how your brain works or how people work. You know what I mean? That's the point. The point is, it's so interesting that this is what the world thinks is going to move us forward. You think politics is going to save the world when your leaders don't even know why they do what they do? We're talking about a literal meeting crisis. Suicide is up, so much so that women are at the same pace as men. What are we talking about? You think it's not that deep because you don't understand why there even is a crisis. There is a meaning crisis. We don't even know why we do anything that we do. So all those people that are like, it's not that deep. Okay, girl. Okay, girl. You say it's not that deep. And then on one side of your mouth, you're wondering why people don't know housing, clothing, and education. Because other people think it's not that deep. Go get a job. It's not that deep, bro. Get a job. It's not that deep, bro. Just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's not that deep, bro. It's just Nick Fuentes. Why do you like Nick Fuentes? I don't know, bro. He's kind of funny. It's not that deep. It's just funny. Come on now. Chet says FD just put out a video yesterday about it's not that deep. Oh, shout out to FD. Chet says avocados doesn't equal music, so trying to equate the dislike of those isn't working for me. Yeah, it's literally not the same, but, you know, there's something about this, you know? Chet says it's not that deep is like the intellectual version of crabs in a bucket. Literally, bro. Yeah, Chet said claiming it's his autism but not exploring it based on his continued comments saying he doesn't go to therapy. We only have so much to go off of. Exactly. Exactly. And then again, he's in the most privileged position. He is the person who should be showing people why a diagnosis is great or not great or learning about yourself is great. That's what I'm saying. All of this power and all of this status, all of this microphone, and you're not even using it to its full potential because you're not ready to face yourself, right? All of these men, all of these famous men, and all of them are too busy using it for any other reason. And I know Hassan does good. I'm not saying he doesn't do good. Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, when is he going to understand exactly how much microphone he actually has? When is he really going to get it? Okay, when is he really going to understand it? When are they ever really going to understand it, you know? Oh, Discord said, it's just a joke, dude. And the joke is just rooted in ideas that I'm just reinforcing. Exactly. It's just a joke, dude. It's one of the most funny, it's one of the most digestible and powerful forms of persuasive rhetoric, my guy. Yeah. I love that, Discord. Thank you. Exactly. Yeah, Chad said he's rich enough to take time off to explore these questions and reevaluate his life goals. Definitely, right? But he keeps telling himself that he can't because he has to save the people from the right wing. How are you going to save people from the right wing when you won't even go to therapy? How are you going to save people from conservatism when they're not even going to therapy too? So now they're looking at you like, okay, cool. I don't have to go to therapy. Hassan doesn't go to therapy. You won't even lead by example. You know? You can't even lead by example. Again, like, you know, I don't know if he's been to therapy since that last interview where he said he's never gone to therapy. You know, Chad said going to China, but not therapy. You know, what are you going to do? Chad says, do you know if his audience was the first to say he may be autistic? He took one of those quizzes online, which, by the way, for the record, I took 9 tests conducted by 2 doctors. That's how I got evaluated. And I am saying like self-diagnosis is valid, but only if you're serious about it. Guys, self-diagnosis is only valid if you're fucking dead serious about it. Otherwise, get off the fucking pot. Shit or get off the pot. That's what I'm saying. I don't mind if you self-diagnose, but be serious about it. Be dead serious about it and then make your life better because you're like, fuck, I think I might be autistic. And then do the things that make your life easier if you're autistic. Help yourself, you know? That's the point. I'm saying I am so pro self-diagnosis, but then do something with it. You know? Don't use it as a funny in middle of interviews like I'm just autistic, bro. That's not what that diagnosis is for. It's not so you can excuse your behavior. You know? But I get it, okay? And I am autistic, so the way I talk, like right now, who thinks I might be mad? Who thinks my tone is mad? Guys, I'm not even mad, bro. That's what I'm saying. I'm not even mad. Right? But how many of you are probably reading this as anger? Not mad at all. But there's going to be somebody who's like, yo, you're angry, bro. Nah. This isn't even anger, dude. But that's the thing, right? And that's the point, okay? And yeah, he is diagnosed ADHD, so it wouldn't be that far off to think he's on ADHD. I'm definitely on ADHD. See, I self-diagnosed myself as ADHD. I just haven't gotten a formal diagnosis, but I also move through my life going, okay, I'm autistic, I'm probably ADHD, so I should start incorporating those things into my life. Instead of just saying, like, oh, I guess that's ADHD, be like, fuck, okay, I have to do something about it. You know? So again, I think all of your questions are good, but there is a reason why I'm saying you have to first understand what I'm saying. Nowhere did I say, okay, not to follow Hassan. Nowhere did I say he's a bad person. Like Hassan is like every other man on the internet with a microphone. Okay? Again, how can we talk about deconstructing white supremacy and misogyny and the man won't even go to therapy? Like, come on, bro. Come on. You know? So again, yeah, my standard is a little high, but it's not that high. It's standard. I think the standard should be therapy. At least like 2 sessions. 1 session. You know? I just feel like it'd be nice. It'd be nice if we encourage the world to go to one single session of therapy. That's my suggestion. 1 session of therapy. 1 session of therapy. You know? Just 1. That would be great. You know? I'd be happy. I'm like, okay. You know, it's not the greatest, but it's good. You know? It's just interesting that every little bit of information you get, it's interesting what communities run into which direction, right? You'll never see an episode of a Dr. K, like a video from Dr. K, but you'll have like a whole fucking 40-minute video on him. Okay? Like, I will watch a ton of Hassan, have an opinion, everyone's like, no. And I'm like, okay. I'm not even saying anything. Like, again, I'm not anti-Hassan. I think that's what's annoying, you know? I think what's annoying in this space is that there's like a requirement to speak only highly of people, which is why I was nervous to talk about Kat yesterday at all. But I don't want to be nervous to disagree with people just because like you're in a similar bubble to me. Look, we're dead serious about the work we're doing, right? Then fucking show up. Or stop being one of the players. Why am I watching this video when it's out of date? Why are you watching my content and not telling me, Britt, you're out of date? Oh, fuck. You know how many times I get comments like, hey, Britt, we don't use that language anymore. Thanks, bro. I'll update. You know? And again, we're not the same people, but if we're showing up and we're in the same space, then we should be moving in a direction, right? You know? Chat says no one is good enough, so much pressure on people doing good. Meanwhile, they're actually horrible people out in the world. I agree with you. And just like progressives have to criticize Democrats, Hassan should know you're a Hassan fan, right? That's why we still criticize Harris, Because, yeah, there are worse people than Kamala Harris. We voted for her and we're still going to criticize her, right? Okay, I don't think Hassan is a bad person. I'm still going to criticize him. It's just different. I don't hold Hassan to the same standard I hold Kamala Harris to. But he is the biggest player in the political space. I'm not even in the political space. I'm just like on the left, right? So like we're going to hold him accountable, right? You said I criticize Hassan, but not on stuff like personal preferences. Okay. Is it a personal preference to not date black girls? You said yes? Girl, get out of my chat. Racist! Racist! You're black? Internalized racism. Girl, come on. You think it's a preference not to date you because you're black? Come on. Come on. Race is not a preference. You don't have preferences that exist in a vacuum. You can't not date somebody because of their skin color and call it a preference, girl. That's just racism. And now I look crazy lecturing a black person in my audience. What am I, Hassan? Okay, listen. I'm about to get clipped, you know? But like, no. You know, like, I don't think so. I think the consciousness is more than that. I think you're so much more than that, you know? It is, you know, a lot of people have that opinion. I just so disagree. Philosophically, I cannot agree with this, you know? That says Brit and Hassan crossover black streams. Oh, great. I'm fucked. Clipped. 4K. Discord said every once in a while I hear Brittany and thinks she might be dismissive and assumes that people don't understand if acknowledging instead of acknowledging an actual critique. But I sit and think and deconstruct, and it turns out she's right. And when she hasn't been, or when a good point has been made, she does acknowledge it. But people are unwilling to actually sit and think and analyze what's being said instead of feeling the need to respond in the moment you misunderstand. Yeah, I mean, God, I'm really trying, you know? Like, I'm always really trying. Okay. Oh, stop being dramatic, chat. You said attacking me and deciding my character as a group is pretty gross. Everyone who's making nasty comments, maybe you should introspect. Okay, you're going to get banned just for your own sake. Okay? I know you're going through it. I know you probably want to be here, but honestly, with peace and love, you're not ready for the class. Sorry. That's the rule in this community. We entertained you a lot on this stream. I gave you a lot of attention. Okay? You're not engaging. You spent all of that attention defending Hassan instead of advocating for your own beliefs. Okay? And then you attacked my audience. Don't do that. Leave my audience alone. Okay? So, okay. Yeah, Chess says everything is political, cultural, philosophical, down to your favorite candy. We do not have preferences within a vacuum. Everything is connected to something. Why? You know? And again, I get it. In Discord, to this Discord commenter who just said that, can I just tell you, that is literally one of the inside jokes I have with like my friends and family and my partner is like, everyone always thinks Brittany is wrong because of the way she talks. But then you always kind of think she's stupid. But then if you think about it long enough, you're like, wait, how is she right? She's right, isn't she? Why is she right? And then it's like, guys, I know, I get it. I do think it's partially ableism. It's okay. But I'm telling you right now, I'm not as stupid as this accent makes me sound because I sound like a Valley girl. Okay. 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 And I'm willing to back it up. That's why I show you content to back it up. Okay. Anyway, with that said, again, I'm not even a Hassan hater, bro. I just don't treat him like he's, you know, he's still a man at the end of the day. I don't know why you guys keep forgetting that. Like, he's not like a reflection of man as a system. You know what I mean? Yeah. Chat says, do you have a Valley girl accent? Apparently. That's what everyone tells me, you know? True. Chat says you're just a woman who ends her sentence with a period. That's also true. So with all of this said, thanks for listening to my opening monologue. Let's go ahead and move into Kai Cenat. Very interesting stuff here. Okay. This is actually gonna play into this. I have a lot to say about this actually. Chet says you sound more Jersey. Well, I changed my accent. Here's the problem. This is the autism. I mimic people from Jersey because I hear them say a sentence and I'll copy it, but it's not my accent. It's because I heard it on TikTok or I heard it on a YouTube video. Half of the time I talk, if I put any energy into it, I'm probably like remembering how somebody else said it, including my own mother. When I say Batsy, I imagine my mom saying it and then I say it the way she would say it. Like, you guys ever notice when I talk about people, I mimic their mannerisms and voices? I'm kind of doing that all the time though. So that's always the question. Who's the real Britney? The real Britney is her ideas. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. So Kai Cenat, okay. So Kai, if you guys don't know, this is Kai, okay. He was a very like top 1-2, okay. Him and Speed, streamers, Twitch guys, very famous. Not a fan of Kai. I was in the beginning in terms of like supporting the boy bubbles, but he just liked to bring on Predator after Predator. And I don't know who was working with Kai. I don't know who his team was, but like this man had some like notorious people on his streams. Okay. So kind of a bummer. So not my favorite. And I do think like his reputation kind of got worse as he got famous, but now there's a rebrand and the rebrand is him reading. So here's a little clip.
Comes when you make it to the core of all of those agreements. Going to the core of those agreements is what I call going into the desert. When you go into the desert, you meet your demons face to face. After coming out of the desert, all those demons become angels. Practice.
Okay, so he's basically saying, I want to improve. I want to get better at reading, at articulating my vocabulary. Okay, we love it. He also is on a little bit of a journey right now where he just did like a basically like a fashion line called, I think it's called Vivette. And he has like very famous people. Okay, this is a very famous designer.
Same.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Really.
Okay, and then he wants to be like a clothing designer. And there's that part is very important, but we'll pause on that for a second. My Discord asked me to review this video in context to Kai on his new journey. He's decided to quit streaming and go into this new direction of fashion. And I guess being sort of like an advocate for comprehension. But check out this content that I saw that my Discord sent me, okay?
Who gives a fuck if it's performative? They're performers. If a performer wants to perform reading a book and it ends up encouraging millions of kids to go and pick up a fucking book when we are in the midst of a fucking literacy decline, perform. Who gives?
Okay, so I understand the spirit of that, and I'm not technically against it. I would caution people to not mistake the reality. Oh yeah, the stylist is LaRoche. Thank you. I was forgetting his name. LaRoche. And he's done like everybody. Oh my God, I can't remember anyone's name right now. This is crazy. Anyway, he's done everybody. You know him when you know him. You know what I mean? Anyways, Zendaya, thank you, Jesus. I was like, what is Zendaya's name? Brain fog, Zendaya. I got 4 hours of sleep. Okay. So, Kai doing his journey into like reading, not reading. Okay. In terms of performance, I think most people are coping and performing and it's becoming very bad for boy bubbles. I want Kai to not perform reading. I want him to be serious about it. Because I think the boy bubbles do a lot of performance. La Roche, not La Roche. La Roche. Anyways, distracted, neurodivergent. Anyways, the boys are already pretending to be rich. The boys are already performing masculinity. The boys are already performing discipline. It's not working. Because what happens is that people see the performance and it might not be real. And then they go try to do it and it doesn't work. And it's because they actually haven't actually done the thing. So the question is Kai really doing the thing? I don't know. But I would say that I would caution people from thinking the performance is enough for this reason alone, okay? Check out this one.
Attention is a strategy you can use. time
He reads 20 minutes a day, and people started memeing this, okay?
location. The implementation intention formula is I will behavior and time and location. Habit stacking is a strategy you can use to pair a new habit with a current habit. The habit stacking formula is after
He's reading the Atomic Habits book.
current habit, I will new habit, and that is time.
So then people are like, okay, are you even comprehending what you're reading? Because part of the literacy decline is also the inability to understand what you just read. So now people are memeing it.
Patient intention is a strategy that you can use.
Well, it's blown out, bro. The audio sucks.
That you can use if you already won a 40v1 with the intention to win a 50v1. Then you're
Okay, so there's like, it's like a joke, okay? Oops, did I just follow this person on accident?
Dripping, gun on my hip. Last time I came with a G23, but this time I came with a G26. I dolly bop with a 5 of my ones, but I need an next 10, so I'm coming with Griff. I stepped in drip.
Sounds like he's literally rapping. Hold on, I gotta go check if I just followed someone on accident. Okay, no, I didn't. But then some people were like, wait a second, let me give my input here. Okay, let's listen to her.
Percent of U.S. adults are functionally, 21% of U.S. adults are functionally illiterate. This means they struggle with reading, writing, and math to accomplish everyday tasks. Go ahead and follow this page. I'm about to break something down. A lot of us can't fill out a basic job application, but we got jokes when we look at somebody struggling to read. When I saw the clips of Kai Cenat learning new words, I was actually impressed with him. Check the clip.
Spontaneity. Spawn. Oftentimes when I don't know what a word is pronounced, I get to look at it.
spontaneity.
Spontaneity. The condition of being spontaneous. Spontaneity.
Understand that 45 million people in the U.S. struggle with basic reading. People who are making fun of Kai Cenat are missing the whole point. Number one, if you were educated in the U.S. public school system over the last 20 years, you are probably just not equipped. Inadequate funding and teacher shortages contributed to that. Number two, young people who were in school during COVID, they experienced learning loss where they couldn't even retain what they learned. And number three, you want to know the biggest culprit to folks not reading and learning new words? Social media and gaming, because for all that it is a big distraction from a person picking up a book. In another clip, Kai explains that he wants to speak better and to improve his vocabulary. He knows that reading helps.
Okay, pause. I just want to say one of the other benefits to reading versus audiobooks is you actually learn how words are spelled and your spelling gets better. And you actually learn like, oh, this isn't just a word I've heard or a word I've read. This is a word I'm associating with the visual and the audible. So I know we also often have discussions here about audiobooks versus reading. All of it's good, all of it's great, but you are missing out on some opportunities to move your brain in a certain way. Like your brain is differently activated. Okay. So just like keep that in mind, right? You see this, I mess up words all the time. I mispronounce them. I'm always like, how do I say this word? And that's because I've done so much of my reading in my own head. I mispronounce words in my own head all the time. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was spelled that way. So again, there's like an app I don't know if you guys have seen this app. There's this new AI app. I guess it's AI, the voices, where it says a word and then you spell it. And then it sees, and I'm going to tell you this right now. My spelling, not great. Like, and I already knew my spelling was pretty like, ooh, but like it definitely has gotten worse since I stopped reading and I listened to audiobooks. My spelling has gotten worse for sure. Cause I'm such a visual person that often when I remember how to spell, it's not because I'm just sounding it out. It's because I'm seeing it in my head. So I'm like, this is it. But once I stopped reading a lot of books and I just switched to audiobooks, like, like I'm definitely not the greatest speller. Not to mention that I'm pretty sure I have dyslexia. So
kudos to him for knowing that, because a lot of folks out there don't know it. And to that, I say, for all the people who got jokes, there is nothing wrong with improving your vocabulary.
Definitely.
And for all you streamers out there chuckling behind your keyboards,
Definitely.
there's only one streamer that I know of who was the valedictorian for his high school class. If that's not you,
was that Kai?
I suggest you also pick up a book. All right.
Wait, was Kai valedictorian? I didn't know that. Chat said BEA beautiful. Literally how I learned to spell beautiful was from that movie. Bruce Almighty. That was when, that's how it stays in my head. To this day, I go, beautiful. I always think of that movie. Yeah. I see you, chat. I see you, girl. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, when we have these conversations and we like remember how to spell or do things, I associate everything with a memory. That's why I think music is interesting, because I listen to music that I associate with a memory. That's how I decide if I like music or not. Is I don't listen to a lot of new music because I have to form a memory to it. But once I form a memory to it, I like it. So that's why I'm interested in people's interest in music, because I have a very particular relationship with it myself. And there's a why to it, you know? So I agree. Overall, I think Kai is doing a good thing. I also understand why people are memeing, and I think it's for a reason. I think it's my theory about why people are memeing and making fun of him is they feel like they're being lied to, because Kai came out with this really, in my opinion, hokey video about how he was like changing. I quit. Look at me. I'm on a beach. I'm finding myself.
Times get over self-doubt or voices in your head saying that it's over. Voices in your head saying you might not be able to do it.
Like, you're so rich, you could have just disappeared for 2 years, but you turned your self-discovery into content, which is why people feel like you're lying to them, right? It feels like, bro, you are worth so much money. This video has 6 million views. Like, you have 14 million subscribers. Like, you could literally disappear into the mountains for 7 years and come back and still not run out of money. But instead, you're turning your self-discovery into a way to make money. So it's still a capitalistic like rat race. And that's why people are like, shut up, bro. You just wanted to put clothes out there. And then he did a fashion line. So then on his way to self-discovery, he's also like, I'm going to learn how to sew and I'm going to make clothes.
Nice pieces with nice material, but then also part of the piece shows the...
I feel like I'm going to get copyrighted.
I had to show everything. I want them to feel.
And then he's like, I want everyone to see my designs and to see what I did and to see everything. It just doesn't feel authentic, you know, to people. And I get it. You know, I think that's so fair that it doesn't feel authentic. I also think it's fair that, like, it is what it is. You know, honestly, but I kind of like, I get the memes too. Here's another one. Here's another one.
I need to become the strongest Hokage to better articulate myself. I still can believe they left a beauty of a shit behind. I sold it in spite, and it'll be good as new. Oh my god, how dare you kill my father? I'll kill you. I'll kill you. How dare you kill my father? What the fuck? I need to become a better, stronger Hokage. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Where's my dad? My name's Girlfriend. I can't find my dad. Where's my dad?
You know, okay, fine. We get it. You know, this one's my favorite though.
التقنيات الحديثة ومواقع التواصل الاجتماعي التي أثرت بشكل كبير على العالم.
We've gone global, kids. We've gone global. You know, it's like, okay, like, you know, okay, there's something to it, right? But also, this video.
Popular opinion, but I don't even care if he's being performative. If you're doing something good in a way that doesn't exploit anyone, it doesn't really matter what your motivations are.
Pause. I actually think it does. I think being good without a reason why is why we're in a meaning crisis. You know, I think it sounds good, be good for goodness sake, but man, is it shallow. And that's why people crumble under temptation. I like that she said without exploitation. I think that's okay. But I actually think it is a part of the meaning crisis that we aren't understanding why we're doing what we're doing.
Good is still being done. Even if he's only reading so that he can record it and post it on the internet, he's still reading. He still actually has to read it in order to film himself reading and post about it. Well, the good is still getting done, regardless of the motivation. If that's what it takes for him to be motivated to read, which I don't think it is the only reason, then that's fine. I'm proud of everyone who's even read one book in a year. The only reason why I mentioned Kai Cenat specifically is because he's posting about it. I would love it if everyone posted themselves reading, honestly. That's most of my book talk actually, is watching people's reactions to books.
And I think that's fine. Like, I definitely don't care. I don't think it's that deep, right? I think there's something to it. Right? Chat says, is it the culture Kai created with his chat, making fun of people learning? I don't even think they're making fun of him learning. They're making fun of how it reads as inauthentic, I think. And it might be a part of him being a nerd, right? I'm sure there's some part of his bubble that thinks he's just a nerd, like, nerd, you're reading. But I think another part of that bubble also just like hates the way it feels, right? Because there's got to, like, people don't like inauthentic, like they don't want to feel like you're inauthentic. If you can sell them authenticity, they'll buy it. But if they even feel for a second like you're tricking them, they're not going to like it, even if you're not, right? Okay, remember this girl, though, who asked guys if they could read out loud?
Question, because I kind of got a little...
Can y'all read out loud?
What?
You be surprised.
Oh, no, I hold on, come through.
Now, I will say it is and can be ableist to look down on people who can't read or read out loud or perform at the expectation you have of them. And I do think, and this is, guys, I'm going to say this with the most amount of respect, is why you have to know why something is going on. Because there is room to be critical of somebody who got to a big age of 45 and chose never to learn to read. And they didn't have a learning disability, right? It's one thing to have a challenge and then to overcome or have a struggle and not overcome. It's another thing to just like not be interested. It's like, oh, okay. It's like showering. I understand that showering and brushing your teeth can be very hard for autistic and ADHD people. I understand when you are depressed, the last thing you want to fucking do, depending on your depression, I was the opposite. When I was depressed, all I did was live in the shower. I was a water waster. Okay. But like sometimes showering is the last thing you want to do, right? And what if you have none of the reasons why and you literally are just like, yeah, I don't care about sitting in my own filth? Well, there's probably a reason why for that, but like, let's find the answer. Okay. So I think that's the problem, is like, there has to be a balance between, obviously we want to meet people where they're at. And it would be really rude to like make fun of somebody for being bad at reading when you know it's a struggle for them, which is partially why I do embrace my struggle on stream. But I see how I do it and how Kai does it. Kai is sensationalizing it to go viral. I'm just doing it because I need to work on it. That's why it also feels inauthentic, right? Okay. And that's a part of the reason why I think people are being a little like, okay, we get it, bro, chill. Okay, one more.
Just laughing at Kai for looking up a word while he's reading are the same niggas that would start sweating bullets if you asked them to read a Dr. Seuss book. The same niggas that would damn near shit themselves every time they got called on for popcorn reading back in high school. Like, what the fuck be wrong with y'all? For real. Like, what is y'all's obsession with ignorance? Matter of fact, what is y'all's obsession with constantly putting people down that's actively trying to better themselves? And it's not only black people, but I feel like this has been a prominent issue in the black community for a long time now. When I was growing up back in school, bro, you could try to eat a salad around niggas and they'd be like, oh, look at this nigga trying to be healthy. Like, what? I remember when I was in...
But wait, not to speak for the black community, but any struggling community, you know this if you've ever drunk. Have you ever drank with friends and then you stop drinking for your health and they make fun of you? There is a pattern of people seeing you get better and making fun of you for it. But that's because they themselves are so trapped in the dysfunction that they don't know how to get out either. And they feel like you are making fun of them, right? It's actually like a defense mechanism to protect themselves. So I kind of feel bad, right? Where I'm like, hey, bro, I'm going to stop. I remember when I was in my 20s, I had this group of friends who we got together to drink and hang out. And I remember being like, okay, guys, I think I'm done. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, I can't keep drinking. Like, I'm bored. I want to have deep philosophical conversations. I want to go back to why we got together in the first place. We were a political philosophy group. Like, we're just drinking so much. We're not having good conversation anymore. And they were like, no, I just want to drink. I just want to party. I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to like outgrow this group. And that not to shame people, but like, I'm not going to be joyful here. Now, people feel left behind. They feel neglected. They feel like, oh, you're leaving me because you think you're better than me, right? And I think this is common in all of our communities where there is just a level of difference in the struggle. Okay. And so I know he's speaking for the black community, but I think it's really everywhere, you know?
Third grade. A nigga called me a nerd trying to insult me because I was smart. I don't want to be dumb like you. I just don't get it. Someone trying to increase their knowledge should never be laughed at. A lot of y'all would rather not ask a question to avoid looking dumb instead of just putting yourself out there and asking a question in order to learn something. Oh, I forgot. Y'all don't seek knowledge anymore. Y'all only just go to ChatGPT and ask it questions. Y'all can't.
Well, even more than that too, in some of the bubbles, they're actually making fun of you for going to school, right? They make fun of you for the degrees you get. They make fun of you. Oh, you went for English, bro. You went for gender studies, bro. History, bro. Like, people make fun of you for even going to college, right?
Can't even write a full sentence by yourself, let alone an essay. Honestly, most of you niggas are not intelligent enough to be putting your opinion out on the internet in the first place. We don't want to hear from y'all. You ranky ass niggas just sit up and play 2K all day. Shut the fuck up. The same niggas.
And I think that's a very human. I just think this is so common. I think it's really hard to watch people attempt to do something with their life. But going back to this idea that is it performative? My concern about Kai is that he's just like, I'm going to say in this way, but it's not exactly one-to-one, but it's a little bit like Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson. I have no reason to think Kai is authentic. I have no reason to think Kai is actually helping anybody. Given his reputation of the guests he would have on his stream, I have no reason to think Kai is doing this for anything but money and clout and interest. He even had like a secret channel that he eventually had to like tell people he had because, you know, it wasn't getting the views. Apparently that's what the internet says. This is just me like, you know, doing my little research. So when I think about that and I think about, here, we'll go to it. Let's see. This is his like quote secret channel, but it's got crazy good views. But I guess it wasn't getting views in the beginning. And people were like, oh, you know, like here's his first video. Let's see.
If you're watching right now, you are witnessing me making my channel right here, right now. You feel what I'm saying?
It's almost like he reached the height of success on Twitch and then got bored and wanted to do it on YouTube. But if you wanted to do any of this introspective stuff, it'd be great if he just like went to go meditate, went to a retreat, like maybe engaged in actually reading books on his own time and not filming it. It reminds me of a little bit of those people that are like, we need to get off the internet. The internet's rotting our brains. And then they're posting it on the internet. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, what are we doing?
Hold on. Oh my gosh. You feel what I'm saying?
It's like he's trying to pretend he's a regular person again. And that's going to piss people off. You know, it is going to piss people off, guys, right? Hold on. Let me see. I know these things are never accurate, but his alleged net worth could be anywhere between 14 and 35 million. If Charlie Penguin Zero made 34 million, Kai definitely made that. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that's always going to rub people the wrong way. Like, why are you trying to pretend like you're a normal person? You know, you're not a small YouTuber with a small channel. You're fucking Kai Cenat. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I appreciate him making the videos in the sense that it might encourage people to read more, but I do agree and I can see why people think he's performative. And I can also see why people don't think it's a bad thing. But again, my caution to you, all of boy bubbles are deeply performative. It's why capitalism works, because everyone's this next embarrassed millionaire. Stop faking it till you'll make it, because you're never going to make it if you keep just faking it. You have to fake it till you make it in a sense, but if you only keep faking it, you're never actually going to make it. You know, you're not going to actually fulfill your sense of purpose. You're not actually going to find your joy. And that's what I think is the struggle right now, especially in boy bubbles. Like, they are so deeply struggling with meaning. And so watching him read these books without really like going into it and diving into it and dissecting it, yeah, you know. Now, if Kai, and this is what I would love for him to do, if he could collab with somebody who isn't a fucking misogynist, that'd be fucking great. If he could collab with a really, like a Dr. K maybe, like a really good role model for men, and then ask him like questions and deep dive into philosophy, do some psychology stuff, that would be cool. You know, that might be a good idea, a good collab, right? Actually give the boys in your audience like some tools versus just watching you read, something like that. But I guess we'll have to wait and see, you know? But yeah, it's funny. Doesn't this just prove time and time again, money is not the answer? You think it is because you can't pay your water bill right now. But once you are able to pay your water bill, you're going to wonder what else. You're going to make $250,000 a year or $70,000 a year and keep thinking what else. Kai is worth probably $30 million. And he's sitting here thinking, what is the meaning of my life? What else? Yeah. Chat says, to be fair, we do love philosophy. Would Kai and his audience be interested in that? I doubt it. Well, I think the better question is, I think that's the point though. That's why people think he's performative. Because they're saying, you don't even care about these books, bro. You don't even care about philosophy. Why are you pretending? And I'm saying if he's serious about it, he should look into it. But this is why his audience will give him backlash. This is why people will make fun of him. Because he's not actually learning. Or maybe he is. But we don't know, do we? Do we actually know? Gun to our head. I don't know if Kai Cenat is actually learning anything. This could all be an act to feel more relatable. Or it could be genuine. But if it was genuine, should it look different? I think so. You know? I think it should look different if it's genuine. Which is why this is my criticism of everybody. Things should look different in a sense because your life should be a reflection of these changes. If you change as a person, your life will look different. It can't look the same. And I'm saying this doesn't feel like an authentic change. It feels like capitalism. It feels like I'm being marketed to, you know? That's what it feels like. Is that very surprising that a man who streams and is a capitalist might just be doing a capitalistic thing? Like, is it that weird that we're sitting around assuming Kai has a team and he's like, hey, I want to be a fashion designer. I want to do this new cool thing. I want to learn how to sew, but I want to be like a designer. Okay, cool. He wants to pivot into design. Love that. What is fashion except capitalism? Right? Is it that deep? He's just pivoting his brand. But you know what I'm saying? It's really not that deep. But that's why people are annoyed because he's making it look deep. You know? But good for him. I did see him start to sew leather bags and stuff. You know? Obviously, I don't buy leather, but you know, cool. I'm glad he's learning how to sew. That's awesome. You know? So we'll see what it is. Oh, and chat said, what was his goal with the reading part? A reasonable goal, which is to enunciate, to read, to comprehend better. Honestly, we could all use that. So I think he's right to show that, like, spontaneity, like not knowing how to say the word. I mean, relatable. I always Google pronounce word. So I think he's just trying to be, show people that side of him, something about that. Chad says, if he did content later about the book he read, a reflection of the messages, a summary of what he learned, basically anything, then people may not see it as performative, but would his viewers watch? Well, that's the thing. He's so rich, who cares? Does he still care if people watch? Maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe part of the problem is that he does care. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the clout. So what does it matter to somebody this rich if nobody ever watches them again? Unless they're a capitalist who's just always trying to be the next top thing. That's what I'm saying about all these people in positions of power where you are literally worth millions. You could disappear off the internet for 5 years and come back and still be somebody. You could remake yourself, go find your joy. It's the fact that you're choosing not to do that. You think you're so important to the cause that you can't disappear for 5 years. There's no one to replace you. There's no one to take over. What do you think you are, the Avatar? You're leaving when the world needed you the most? Get out of here. You're not Aang. You know what I mean? That's the thing. You're not Aang. The world doesn't need you. Bye. Someone can replace you. It's this idea that we really think like, oh, the world needs me the most. The world does not need you. The world needs people to heal themselves. The world needs people to do philosophical work. The world needs you to do the work. Okay? That's what the world needs, which, by the way, if you've seen Avatar, is all about Aang doing the work. Okay? Okay. All right. Any thoughts on this? Chat says Discord said 2 weeks later, Kai Cenat launches a new book, Social Networks. Sarcasm. Hilarious. No. Chat said, I mean, if his motivation is really to help improve literacy in his community, he would also donate to learning centers. Yeah, that would be nice. I don't know what he's doing though, to be fair. I don't know all the details. Maybe he is and maybe it's not announced. But I'm just explaining, like, for people who wanted me to cover this, what are my thoughts? Those are my thoughts on the performativism. Those are my thoughts on just him making content. And I'm always looking forward to seeing people change. I Would love to see a future where Kai spoke about the regret of promoting or hosting certain people. 4 million views, Kai Cenat and Chris Brown, full stream. You know what I mean?
Chat, that's why you always gotta stay.
Chris Brown, what are we doing here, buddy? Like, what are we even doing? You know what I'm saying? What are you even doing? 14 million subscribers. That's why I'm critical of Kai. You know, what's wrong with Chris Brown, bro? This is what I'm saying. Are you fucking trolling me, bro? What is wrong with Chris Brown? Are you 12? Do you not know? Chris Brown is literally facing legal, he's being sued, I think, right now for assault once again. This man has so many convictions or so many, like, he's been sued so many times for violence. It's insane. It's literally insane. It wasn't just Rihanna. There's like so many people, you know? You said it's wrong to ask crazy, to ask questions crazy. I'm going to go ahead and mute you. You're not serious. Okay? Okay, bye. Blocked, you know? Why is he not in prison? Come on now. Come on now. Chaz said he did it again. He's done it. He's hit so many people. How many people has Chris Brown hit? Oh, man. The legal issues of Chris Brown, a complete timeline of Chris Brown's controversies and arrests, multiple. Okay? A history of violence. Chris Brown. Chris Brown has a long documented history of violence. Like, Chris Brown has a crazy history of violence. You know what I mean? Insane. And then for, like, Kai to be like, yeah, that's the person I want on my stream. Chris Brown. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's a bummer. So I hope Kai goes and works on himself, because this is definitely not the person you want here, right? This is just definitely not the person you want to be promoting. No? All right. All right, let's do this. I gotta tinkle. I'll come back. If you have any more questions on this, comments, we'll talk about it. Otherwise, I really want to talk about this topic. Holy shit. This, girls, this is one of my absolute favorite fucking topics. I'm so excited, okay? I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. This woman went viral for working at a cafe and then them asking her to leave after 3 hours. And I just, I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait to talk to you about it. It's my favorite. It's my favorite topic. I love this conversation. Okay, I'll be right back. You can listen to some Elvin. Links in the description for music. right, I'm back. Okay, pausing music at 1, 2, and 3. How we feeling, guys? We feeling okay? We feeling okay? We feeling good? Where did that TikTok go? Did I accidentally close it? How did I accidentally close it? All right, feeling good? This one. Okay. Ooh. That is loud. Okay, my ear. Loud. Okay, so this one, and then this one, and then this one. Beep boop pop, beep boop pop, beep beep boop pop. Na, 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 na. Oh, it's this one. Already had it pulled up. Okay, recovering from a cold. Bro, anytime I see a cough, a dry throat, I'm like, get away from me. I am trying so hard not to get sick this season. Okay. This, I hope you get a lot of rest. Honestly, I hope I get a lot of rest today. Okay. This was going viral on my side of TikTok. This woman went to a cafe and it says, POV, you got kicked out of a coffee shop after 3 hours. And it just sparked this whole discourse over working from cafes, using them as third spaces. Let's watch her TikToks and then we'll go over it, okay?
And I'm going to tell you why. I really happened to stumble upon this place and I just...
Man, that is just... The audio is bad. Sorry, let me restart that.
I got kicked out of Habibti's and I'm gonna tell you why. I really happened to stumble upon this place and I just thought the ambiance was beautiful and it looked really nice inside, so I decided to give it a shot. I spent $25 on the cinnamon roll and this latte with rose cold foam on top. Ooh. And I was surprised at how much I actually liked it. I got this cinnamon roll because it looked good, but when I tried it, it did have like seasoning or spice on it and I wasn't really liking it. I came there to do work anyway, so I got right to it. This place had a lot of traffic. It was new faces every 15 minutes. After being there for almost 3 hours, one of the workers came up to me and said, you can't have your laptops out on weekends. I thought it was weird, so I got my thick self up and packed all my belongings. So no, I didn't really get kicked out, but it defeated the purpose of me even being there, and at that point, I was ready to go.
Okay, so let's just process the information we learned so far. So, Q Cafe got $25 worth of things, was there for 3 hours. I would say that's a pretty good, that's like, I try to say a coffee an hour at a cafe. I think that more than covers that. So check. I don't know what other requirements there would be. A no laptop policy. I've never seen that at a cafe, but apparently that's the new thing. I've never seen it, but apparently that's a thing that's happening. Okay. And then she did try to sensationalize it. You got kicked out. Okay, so then that's going to trigger people because people are going to say, oh, you got kicked out, but you didn't get kicked out. But she said in this TikTok, she knows she didn't get kicked out. Okay. So then she made a part 2. Let's watch that.
Reading the comments on my last video, it's clear to me that some of you are missing the point.
Oops, let's go back to the original video. Oh, she turned off comments? No. Okay. Hold on. Let's read comments just really fast so we get an idea. Girl, what? That's an insane policy for real. College students have an entire campus to study on. Try going to the library, the student union, any common area campus. Here's a crazy idea. How about go home and study? The whole trying to be seen thing is old. The whole entitlement attitude is ridiculous. 100% clicks and views. So sad. First of all, I don't know. I haven't been in a library in a while, but last time I checked, you can't eat in them. And you usually don't have refreshments. So maybe I'm stupid, but are your libraries serving you food? I went to libraries all in my 20s and you were never allowed to eat in them. So when I see people even bring out food in a library, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I was always taught never to eat around books, never to drink around books because you could destroy the material, right? So kind of confused. Also, in my life as a millennial, working at a coffee shop was really normal. Working, studying, staying there for 8 hours a day, completely normal, right? Okay, how long you in New York for? I guess she's visiting, okay. I would have asked for a refund. I'm not sure why. She def snitched this girl here. Let's see. No one clocked that I called myself thick. Does that mean it's not true? Hilarious. Okay. Now let's go to this one.
And you just weren't listening. It's insane how unheard of it is to some people that coffee shops are places that people like to study or do work. People commenting that they don't want to go to coffee shops and be consumed by people like me working on my laptop doesn't even make sense. Quite honestly, everyone does not have the privilege to unplug, and we all cannot afford co-working spaces. And I think $25 for an iced coffee that was this big, not even, and a nasty Danish is expensive. So my point, and a lot of other people's point, is that one, the laptop policy should have been.
She did get it like saying a nasty Danish because she didn't like the spice. It for me is a little like, they probably have a cultural spice on it. And I know as like an Assyrian person, our spices and pastries aren't for everybody, but they're really special to me. So I think that hurt my feelings a little bit because she did reference like she didn't like the spice of it, which like to me feels like she's making fun of their food now. So I'm not the biggest fan of that. Like, you know what I mean? Like that felt hurtful, but okay.
Clearly stated. 2, you shouldn't have waited. And 3, I have no problem with the policy. Had I known, I would have spent my money somewhere else.
I believe her.
And sat there for 3 hours, however long I felt like, and got my work done. So do you get it now or no?
Okay, I mean, I believe her. I believe like, you know, she feels like the sign wasn't clear and everything. But then this guy, you probably know this guy. He's not my favorite, but I don't dislike him. I just don't really watch him like that. He made a video on her. Let's see here.
Veepties, and this place had a lot of traffic. It was new faces every.
If you don't know his shtick, he goes after influencers for feeling entitled. Okay.
15 minutes. After being there for almost 3 hours, one of the workers came up to me and said, "You can't have your laptops out on weekends." It defeated the purpose of me even being there, and at that point, I was ready to go.
So this is a small business with maybe 15 seats, and despite being at full capacity, they let her sit there for 30% of their operating hours before asking her to leave so they could turn the table over. And what
Habiti is, you said Habiti is Arabic, so definitely same as Habibi. Well, Habiti is for girls and Habibi is for boys. So it's called Habiti, which is cute. Like that's cute. Okay.
What does she do? She tags the cafe, throws the staff under the bus, and proceeds to call their food nasty and overpriced.
Yeah.
$25 for an iced coffee that was this big and a nasty Danish is expensive.
She goes on to defend her actions by saying that she was just looking for a place to work. Newsflash, buddy, why don't you try the New York Public Library instead of a small business trying to survive?
See, okay. This part I'm confused about. Why would I go to the library, which is cool, instead of a small business? Are we supposed to be supporting small businesses? Right? Chad said I don't like his attitude. It's the shtick. He does it. He talks like this. Every video he makes, it's the same tone. You know what I'm saying? Like, isn't the whole point to support a small business? And to, like, when I was a nanny, I always made an effort to support small business. Even in Croatia, we go to like local coffee shops. Right? So I'm a little confused on that idea of like, why don't you go to, okay.
Off razor thin profit margins. Anyways, go support Cafe Habibti. They are a Muslim woman-owned cafe in Soho, and I will be stopping by in the next few weeks.
I would like to know from their perspective why they have this policy, and if there's a way to, in the future, make space for people who come to work at the cafe. Now, I do believe in cafe protocol, like manners, so we'll get into that in a second. But I want to share his review here. So he went, I guess.
About an influencer who
his
claimed she
audio's
was
low.
kicked out of a New York City cafe.
Well, she said she was, okay, first of all, don't say that, because the meme was she was kicked out. The lie, the sensationalism is she was kicked out, but she knows she wasn't kicked out. I'm a little frustrated with everybody in this, where yes, she shouldn't have branded it as kicked out, but also she did correct herself at the end, said, I know I wasn't kicked out. She's obviously doing it for views, but also she didn't get kicked out for views. It just happened to her. But this is why we have to be very careful about how we post our stories. But also it really happened to her. Something really happened to her that I think is interesting. that they asked her to leave instead of spend more money or something like that, you know, or something, right? But like, okay.
And charged $25 for coffee and what she called a nasty pastry. And since that video, she has doubled down on her claims. So I thought that I would visit the cafe myself to do some fact checking. So come with me to Soho. So her first complaint is that the cafe supposedly has no warning about a laptop policy. Well, lo and behold, this—
Girl, you're gonna need a bigger sign, girl. What are the chances you see this? What is this? Can I have a zoomed out thing? Laptop policy, Monday through Friday. We ask that you put screens away after 1 p.m. No screens, please. Why? Also, why do you have that policy? And you got to make a bigger sign.
sign, which sits 6 inches away from where you pay.
Girl, nobody's reading a sign. Come on. It is very unlikely that most people would bother to read the sign.
And even then, this tiny cafe let her occupy this gigantic table for 3 hours.
Okay, I think that is interesting. Like, they should have single seating maybe, because yeah, maybe other people can stay with her, like communal. Because if she is taking up 4 seats or 3 seats, yes, we can have that conversation.
And as for that $25 order, here's their menu, where the most expensive combination gets you to maybe $15.
She did show receipts, and it did say 24 something change. So she did spend $25. I don't know if that was including tip maybe, which is, I assume it was.
Anyways, I got this coconut shaken espresso and gigantic buttery flaky chocolate croissant for like $12, and they were absolutely delicious. I showed up completely unannounced with a hat on and was met with some of the nicest service I've ever experienced in a New York City cafe. And it makes me sick that someone tried to do this to honest, hardworking people. So go support Cafe Habibti and have a good week.
Okay, so, okay. Okay. Let's see. Chad says she's entitled. I'm sorry. If this is a new location and people want to try it, she's taking the space. Okay, here's this perspective.
Bitches are not going to, you capitalist ass bitches are not going to convince me and my homegirls that one black girl studying in a cafe for hours was weird. Y'all aren't going to convince me. It's just a cafe. The fuck? Why can't we linger and study in a cafe? It's a like, do y'all not hear yourself? I don't give a fuck if it's a small business. I promise you, she was not taking up space and holding up space towards that business was losing out on people. And people often purchase multiple things, if not something, when they're studying. Like, y'all are weird. Y'all are so fucking weird. And people can't do anything and just enjoy themselves. Like, y'all, ugh.
Okay, honestly, I have never been to a cafe with a laptop policy, so I don't know. And I've spent a lot of my life in cafes where there's like 30 people on laptops. So super confusing for me, super confusing for the West Coast, not my lived experience. I have never had this situation happen in my life. I don't know if it's new. I don't know what's going on. But I couldn't even imagine a reality where like you went to a coffee shop where in the West Coast, that is literally the point of going to a coffee shop, hanging out with friends, playing board games, having a snack, hanging out with your kids. I mean, I would go to coffee shops and I would crochet for hours in Seattle. I would literally go to the cafe and order. And like I said, I would order something every hour that I stayed. Okay. Now, I understand, and this is something that I will say, that the vibe is important. If you come to the cafe and make it look like your living room, it's a no-go, right? I understand not everybody's privileged enough, and sometimes we have to go to a cafe because we can't go home or we don't have a home to go to. As long as you look like a customer and you don't look like you're making camp, I think it's fine. I think the issue is that maybe some people don't want it to look like you're loitering, but in that case, as a community, we can make that happen. We can make the vibe happen where it doesn't look like we're loitering, right? Okay, because I understand that. I do. You take up a whole space. People feel like they can't sit with you. They feel like you're using it as your living room. You don't want to do that. You don't want to use the cafe like it's your living room, but you want to go to a different location, which is very normal. Here's just a reminder of how normal it is.
100% remotely. As someone who works 100% remotely, my New Year's resolution this year is to check out a new coffee shop every week. I've had a list of Chicago coffee shops I want to try, so this will actually challenge me to explore them. I'll also share my thoughts on the ambiance, coffee and food quality, as well as the seating and outlet availability. I've realized that part of the reason I love traveling so much is having new experiences, so this will give me that same feeling right in my backyard. So where should
I will say, because Chat said she could have complained to her friend, I would say you have to be very responsible with how you make content. And I would say that she was irresponsible with how she made the content, because y'all got to stop venting to the internet. We're not your journal. You have to think about how you're impacting small businesses, especially one that's, you know, Palestinian and run by women. And we all have to understand that it's a community effort. But I do think that the laptop policy is weird. And I do think if that's going to be your policy, you should remind the room constantly. You should remind people, okay? Because I think that's important. Like, hey, why do you have a laptop policy? Right? Is it like religious reasons or maybe cultural reasons? Maybe you're trying to make it so people socialize more? Or are they trying to move people out? Are they trying to literally make a space? Like, what was the reason? I would like to know. Okay, here we go.
About working remotely is having the option to work from cute little coffee shops. And today I went to Perk Coffee. It was so cold and rainy today in Atlanta, and this was such a cute and cozy spot to get some work done and sip some good coffee. I had their vanilla lavender latte, and y'all, I don't play about my coffee, but I will say that this was actually pretty good. I also had their cream cheese and salmon toast, which is really good, and this was just the perfect spot to get some work done and be super productive. So I will definitely be back again.
Okay, right? Just a reminder, it is really normal to go to a cafe to work.
Library. I'm trying different. I need to get out of my house for work from home
She's
today,
going to library.
so we're going to go to the library. I'm trying different remote working spots around Huntsville, and I have been wanting to go work at the library for so long. I scoped it out yesterday, and it is so nice in there, so we are going to go. I also made a fresh coffee because I really don't want to spend money on coffee every time I want to get out of my house to work.
Nice.
And I'm going to take you with me.
Which that is a part of the conversation as well, is getting out of the house. Do you always have to go where you spend money? Not necessarily. Okay, love it. Okay, cute, right? I think this girl starts eating. Can you eat at the library? Like, she's just munching away. Is she making crumbs? Is she cleaning up after her crumbs? That's what I'm saying. Like, this isn't a place to eat necessarily. So you better be, if you're making those librarians clean up after you, I'm going to be pissed. Okay, you better not be making a mess. But maybe she's in a section of the library that's allowed to eat. So that's okay too. You know? It looks like they have food there, so maybe that is allowed. Okay. Okay, cute. She's really struggling with this package, bro. Okay, see, she's wiping off crumbs. I'm very sensitive to crumbs in places that aren't supposed to have food because it's super rude for the people who work there. So she's going like this, which means she is flicking crumbs everywhere. So I'm like, okay, girl, like at a cafe, you expect it. So you got people sweeping, but at a library, often it can be carpeted. It can be like very inconvenient for the workers. It can be, you know, so I just like, I'm very like sensitive. I think it's like a relationship we're having with each other. We all have to make it a safe space for each other, right? But okay, see, libraries, cafes, da 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 da. Okay, look at this. Look at this guy. Look at this guy.
A whole home office ecosystem to the coffee shop. At this point in the city, trying to find a coffee shop to do work in feels like I'm going to war. The other day, I walked around to 5 different coffee shops before I could find a seat. You always see one of these guys. He brought a laptop stand, a keyboard, a mouse. You have to set up anything more than just opening your laptop at a coffee shop. I think you're bringing too much. Hot take. At this point, stay home. Once I went to a coffee shop and a guy had a whole desktop, like an actual desktop computer, was set up at the coffee shop at a communal table. What are we doing here? Why are you bringing 15 different products to the coffee shop? You go in and somebody has like the setup that guy had in the photo, like the laptop stand.
But you know what? You know how many guys I know who used to game at cafes because that was just the norm? Yeah, you can game at a cafe. Like, that's so normal. Or if, like, you're a neurodivergent kiddo and your mom drops you off as a teenager to be like, here, sit at the cafe while I go to work. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't think it's that weird.
stand and the keyboard and everything. Then they have a full headset and like a microphone.
I mean, what might be weird is that you're yelling at the cafe or you're interrupting people or you're ruining the vibe. Like, okay, this video here. Can we please stop normalizing taking calls from coffee shops?
Yep. Worst case scenario.
Okay, I talked about this on the members video. I personally do think there is actually, somebody was saying there's like science to this apparently, but like taking a phone call in a small space is crazy because you tend to yell, you tend to be louder versus people sitting next to you. It is actually severely different. I was on the bus in Croatia and people are taking phone calls and I'm like, get off the phone. You're so loud. I don't need to hear this. You have them on FaceTime. They're on speaker. We don't need to be a part of this. People are playing music videos and I'm like, hello? People were listening. This old man was listening to the full-on radio. I was like, girl, this is a shared space. Break it down. Again, I don't like it. Okay? I don't like it. I was at a doctor's appointment and this old man brings out his phone and literally starts playing like Ray Romano or whatever. Like start playing like a TV show. And I'm like, and then like mom and dad were there with their 2 kids and they each had 2 kids on 2 phones on speaker. And I was like, hello, what is happening? Like, what is happening? And then I realized like, okay, this is Brittany's not ideal world. And Brittany's ideal world, we are deeply considerate about the people in small spaces with us. Okay? We are not about to fill this little doctor's office, which is the size of this room, with 3 different phones on speakers. Hello? Like, what are we doing here? And so, like, okay, there is a lot of conversations to be had about cultural differences. I'm not saying you're the worst person on the planet. I'm just saying, like, community is hard. You know what I mean? Like, community is hard, right? You know, Chad said, is your ideal world Japan quiet? No. My ideal world is contextual. Maybe I do want to go to a cafe that's blaring like music and very loud and very like, maybe I do want to take public transit one day that has like a vibe where people are dancing on public transit. Maybe I want to take transit that's really quiet. Maybe it's just like, I want options. I want options. I want clear and defined options for the vibe I'm seeking that day. Oh, you want a really quiet cafe? This is the one you want. Oh, you want like a cafe that's like got live music and live performers? This cafe. Oh, you want to play, you know, I want choices to fit the vibe of the moment. If we have public transit as an example though, I do think it's more than common courtesy to have earphones in and to be cautious about like how loud you are being or how inconsiderate you're being of other people. Not to mention that, like, if you're culturally diverse, what if you're playing something on your video that's haram to somebody else or offensive to their religion or offensive to their beliefs? Like, God, do you want fucking Fox News Tucker Carlson blaring on a bus? No. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to listen to that shit on public transit. Turn it off. You know what I mean? Like, do you want to listen to some homophobic rant on the bus just because somebody wants to have their phone on speaker? No. Okay. So yeah, like, I think we should be considerate of the people who are around us, right? Okay, last video on noisy taking work meetings,
Out in a coffee shop, like remote workers who are on full Zoom meetings in the middle of a crowded public area. I ask because I have a friend who's been studying a lot lately, so she's been going to coffee shops for like a change of scenery, and she said that she's been overhearing all kinds of sensitive work information from people who are just like talking out loud on these work calls. Like today she said she was sitting next to a therapist. Like if I logged into my therapy meeting and my therapist was sitting in a coffee shop, I'd be like, oh, come on, you're not even listening to me. And the patient the therapist was talking to was sharing all of her concerns about college applications, which like luckily that's not that private, but it could have been a lot worse. My friend said last week she was sitting near this person who was on a call and they sounded like an HR person or something. They were talking about like employee information, and this person in the middle of a coffee shop is spelling employees' names out letter by letter. I was just like, I feel like that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Like that's kind of private. Not only are you potentially exposing information you shouldn't be, but like it's also a little bit inconsiderate. Like obviously conversation and talking is expected in a coffee shop, but like you know how when people have their headphones on and they're noise canceling, they're talking like 3 times louder than they normally would. I mean, I think it definitely depends on like the environment you're in, how loud you're talking, how long you're talking, what kind of things you're discussing. But I know for me, like I wouldn't want to take a meeting in a coffee shop because I know people would be listening in and I would.
Exactly. Like people aren't thinking about being overheard. Or one time the chat says, you guys have quiet carriages in the UK. I took a train once, and I went upstairs to the quiet part and I didn't know it was a quiet part. And I started laughing out loud. And this woman looked at me, she goes, shh. And I was like, oh, And I didn't know what was happening. Like I didn't see the sign. And so I was so confused. And she points to the sign. I was like, oh my, I was so embarrassed. I just didn't know. And I was so mortified. And so I wondered why it was so quiet. Like I couldn't understand what was happening. And I apologized. She was so mad at me. I apologized and I went down to the other section. I was like, I didn't know. And so, you know, sometimes you have those moments, but it's like, okay, I don't mind that existed though. That's cool. Like if I wanted quiet, I would have gone back up there. Okay. So again, I think like instead of saying it always has to be one size fits all or every cafe should work this way, I'm thinking it should be choices and the rules should be clear. Okay. We should have clear rules about the expectation, right? Justice, I have a question about what you said. How do you respond to someone who tells you, why should I filter myself for other people in response to what you say? I agree with you, by the way. I'm not sure what the question's about. Could you expand on that? What is that in reference to? I should filter myself for other people in response to what you say. I agree with you. In public? What do you mean? Like, I'm not going to call my friend and start talking about sex positions when I know kids are in the room. Is that what you mean? Or like when I go to Disneyland, I don't cuss and I don't talk about adult topics without code because kids are there. Is that what you mean? Like, read the room, you know, like be considerate of people. If we're all adults, you got to get over it to some extent. But like, you know, read the room, right? Like people don't want to hear about your fucking, they don't want to hear about your whole life. Heck, I was just watching Love is Blind and they're literally like sexting with they're like talking dirty. And I'm like, I don't need to be here for this. Why is Netflix showing this to me? I do not want to hear this happen. Thank you. Stop it. I don't want to overhear this. You know what I mean? It's weird. What are you being weird for? You know? Dad says, let's see. When you were saying we should be considerate of other people in our surroundings. Oh yeah, like read the room, be considerate, you know? Think about where you are. Think about what's happening. You know, ask questions. You know, maybe even ask permission. You know, hey, do you guys mind if I take calls here? Should I step outside if I take a work call? Like, try to make the experience a community. It's funny, like again, everybody wants a community, but nobody wants to be everyone wants a village, no one wants to be a villager. Everybody wants to be independent because God knows I don't want to do what the village tells me to do. It's about balance, you know? It is about balance, okay? Let's see. Discord said taking calls in cafes is the worst for people in the cafe and the people on the other side. Meanwhile, me who almost whisper when I take a call on the bus. And that's the other thing. If you take it's not the action of taking the call, it's how you take the call, right? If you take the call and you're like, and even then the mood shifts on the bus, but at least you're not making it our problem. You know? It's like, it's not even the fact that you took the call, it's how you took the call. Like, I know people who go in the grocery store and they'll be on FaceTime on speaker talking to their friends. You are yelling so loud I can hear you 2 aisles over. Because you are yelling because you're on the phone. Now, I remember one time I did one of my work calls with this very well-intentioned autistic person. And I was like, hey, you're on speaker at the store. Like, people can hear our convo. You should probably take it off speaker. And they're like, no, it's fine. People don't mind. And I was like, I mind. I don't need to be on speaker at your grocery store. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is unnecessary. And it's just that attitude. It's that attitude of like, oh, they don't mind. You don't know that. I don't want to be heard. Take me off speaker. Which I don't know if you have this policy with your siblings, but like when they call, I go, hey, you're on speaker. I warn people, you're on speaker, people can hear you. You know what I mean? Okay, a couple more videos.
About the young lady in New York City who made a TikTok about being kicked out of the coffee shop after 3 hours when she was there, you know, working with her laptop open. And while I agree, you know, if that's their policy, there were signs up everywhere, you were there for 3 hours, they said it was time to go, it was time to go. Completely understood that, completely agreed with that for sure. What I do not agree with and what I do not like is the dogpiling on this young lady. And you're doing this because a creator with a much, much, much larger platform than her, in a nutshell, you know, kind of made a video not directly encouraging his supporters and his followers to come attack this lady or dogpile on this lady, but that's what happened. I just feel like at this point, it's no longer about, you know, holding her accountable or trying to teach her or correct her. I feel like it is now just about punishment of some sort, which is crazy. I feel correction without, compassion or empathy turns into social punishment. And what are we doing here?
To be fair, and not to be fair in a good way, that's his whole platform. His whole platform is like punish. He just wants to punish people. He usually says he's doing it for the underdog, like in defense of the small business. But I think it's something to think about. I also think, and this is kind of important, like, it's funny because it gave me a bad taste of everything. Would I go to that cafe because of the way they maybe I'd go to the cafe, but maybe I wouldn't feel good staying there. Or maybe I wouldn't feel good making a meetup spot with my friends. Like some meetup spots are spots you hang out with friends. Like you bring 10 of your friends over. I don't think that this is that kind of spot. It sounds like this is the kind of spot that doesn't want you to bring 6 or 7 of your friends and be loud and be I think it's one of those chill, we're fancy, kind of vibes maybe, right? It's not like a board game cafe, which is fine. Read the room, right? I don't mind going to a fancy cafe that expects you to be quiet, but I also don't mind going to the cafe that is okay with you being loud. It just, again, just tell me the rules. I'll follow the rules. You know what I mean? But I think nobody wants to feel embarrassed. And guys, I just don't know how it's not going to feel embarrassed for somebody to walk up to you and say hey, you need to leave. Because did they give her an option to, what did they, how'd that conversation go? Hi, you've been here for 3 hours, you need to leave? Or was it more hey, we don't allow laptops past this time? And it'd be oh, why? That's what I want to know. Let me just check right now. Did she get an update? Why do they have that policy? Because that is interesting. I would like to know more about that. Let's see. Here's the proof. Chad was you did not spend that much. And she said 2420 Cafe Habiti. There it is. Also, not to judge, but girl, your list is crazy. Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks. My girl, first, why are we shopping at Starbucks? And second of all, homie, interest charges 5%? Girl, focus, lock in. Anyways, it looks like she went to, $24. So people were you didn't spend that money, but there it is. I mean, she probably tipped, She probably tipped. Is there an update though? People working at coffee shops? What's this? She's saying literally my favorite pastimes. I think she's saying, I don't know. Yeah, she's just going on with her life, which is good. Oh, Black owned in Atlanta.
Come with me to
So this is the latest coffee shop she was at.
Black Coffee on the west side of Atlanta. This place
No, why are you playing fucking Beyonce? You're going to copyright me.
is huge with a massive menu. I ordered the Barbara latte and it came up to almost $9. And of course I left a tip.
Yeah, she left a tip. That was what I was thinking. I was thinking she spent that much at the cafe because she left a tip. So now that makes sense. See how he was slamming her for lying? Why did he assume she was lying about how much she spent? Why did he assume she didn't tip? You know what I'm saying? That's the first thing I assumed. I was she obviously just tipped, bro.
I sat on the bar top and of course I pulled out my computer and my work right away while they made my latte. It did take a little minute for them to make my latte, but I loved the personalized touch. My drink was really sweet. It had white mocha, brown sugar, and vanilla in it, but I actually enjoyed it. This cafe was small, but it was so beautiful with local artwork.
Oh, look at this cafe. This
beautiful
is
with local.
See how it has singular seats right here? Very smart.
Artwork everywhere and enough places for people to sit and spread out to do their work.
Yeah. See. This is what I'm used to. Look at this guy in a laptop. This is what I'm used to. A bunch of seating where you can pull out your laptop and work. Because, guys, you've got mail. Guys, oh my God, the way I would romanticize having a laptop. Carrie Bradshaw working on her computer at a cafe in New York. Oh, that is the vibe. That's what I'm saying. What millennial didn't grow up romanticizing a coffee shop? This was the vibe. Even the other day, I said to my partner, I wish I had a laptop. And he's like, why? I was like, the vibe. He's like, what? I was like, there's just a vibe. Oh, beep, 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 beep. I'm so professional. The way you open, I love that feeling. I used to have a laptop all my life, and then I haven't had it in a while. Oh, I love it, right? Just as so American though, I don't know. Here in Croatia, I mean, people read, people smoke, people drink coffee. I don't know if I've explicitly seen a computer, but I will say, like, I assume there will be one near more like college places. But people spend, that's the other thing. In Croatia, we spend all day in the cafe. I have spent 6-7 hours at a cafe with my friends when they come to visit me. We spend all day there. You know what I mean? As long as you're ordering stuff, you can sit there. They don't care. Even if it gets busy, as long as you're bringing in money, they don't care. You know what I mean? But like, you know, in Croatia, at least so far, I mean, cafes are popping, first of all. Everybody's at the cafe and everyone's fighting for seats too. Trust me, there are some cafes I go to here that people are like fighting to find a seat, but like you can sit there as long as you're chilling. You know, as long as you're there, like I have never felt rushed. Actually, the first time I started going to cafes here in Croatia, I got really nervous. I was like, hey, do we have to get up? Do they need the table? My partner's like, no. I mean, these are cafes where literally workers, like some of the places we go to, the workers will literally sit and smoke. Well, will you wait for them? Like, well, they're waiting for you to need something because they got, you know, they're like, we have time. Do you need something? And I'm like, yeah, can you get me another cappuccino? And they'll bring me my cappuccino. And I'm like, vibes. It's like nobody feels rushed. There's no rush, you know? So I don't know. I kind of like it. Last video.
Are you living in where it's not okay for someone to sit down at a cafe? What world are you living in where it's not okay for someone to sit down at a cafe and read a book? What world are you living in where it's not okay for a high schooler to sit down at a coffee shop and do their homework? What world are you living in where someone can't sit down on their laptop and write a blog post in a cafe? People literally sit down in coffee shops and write novels. Like, that's a trope that people...
Hello, that's a trope in movies. The writing my novel at a cafe with a cappuccino and a cigarette.
Been doing for like decades. Where are you guys mentally? Capitalistic brainwash that you think it's strange for someone to sit down and get some work done at a coffee shop. That's normal. You're the freaks.
Now, are you ready for the twist in my argument? Are you ready for the twist in my argument? Okay, you ready? If you work at a cafe, is it a third space? What is a third space? A third space is a space that isn't work or home. So if you're taking work to your third space, is it a third space? Because here we are all complaining about third spaces. Nobody has a third space and she's getting out. People are like, she got kicked out of a third space. But a third space means it's not work and it's not home. So maybe the Habiti shop actually had that laptop policy so it could be a real third space. Right? Because if I'm running that cafe and they're like, oh, we have a no laptop policy because we want this to be a real third space for people. Well, shit, I'm locked in, bro. That's great. But is that the reason why? Yeah, that's the question. That's the question. Now, my friend and I, we used to romanticize and like dream about owning a cafe. And our version of a successful cafe was going to be a refurbished house. Because in Seattle, a lot of the businesses used to be homes and they would redo them. Or in Croatia, a lot of the homes used to be businesses, which is very funny. Okay. And I used to like the idea of owning a house in Seattle where every room in the house was like a different vibe. So this room was like the gaming room and this room was like a library and this room was like a debate space. And then you could like get your food and sit down. In San Diego, I used to go to this cafe called Les Tots, which was very popular, very iconic spot, very huge, beautiful place. If you know, you know. Heard it got shut down during lockdown, which was crazy because it was like there for decades. Very big part of San Diego culture. Anyways, I used to go there. Okay. And you would walk in and it was like a very large space where guys, I mean, we're talking about hugely large space, right? And you could do anything there. You could work there. You could third space it. You could do anything because it was that big, right? So, you know, when we're having these conversations, the question is, what is the vibe of the owner? What is their hope? And is it clearly communicated to the customers? Because I think that's kind of the relationship that's important, right? Chet says, is it a third space, not home, not a place of work? You don't have to be there, but you choose to be there. So a cafe still is a third space, even if you're working on your laptop. I I don't know, because it depends on the purpose of the third space, right? I think the third space, hold on, let's see. Third space meaning, let's see if we can find a better definition. Is a social setting separate from home, first place, and work, second place, where people gather informally to build community and share ideas and find belonging. So if you're working, are you socializing? If you're locked into your business, are you building community? Right? Yeah, are you like engaging with people? Like I like to say my Discord is like a coffee shop, right? Like my Discord is a coffee shop and people come to socialize. You still have to be appropriate. You know, you can't go into a coffee shop and trauma dump. You can't come into my Discord and trauma dump as an example. But if you come to my Discord, right? Like there are rules, but it's meant to be a more social place. It's not meant to be work. I'm working, you're not working. I own the cafe, so I'm working, but you are not working, right? So I don't expect you to come to my Discord and start talking about your business or sharing your business or start trying to like take my customers or something. That would be weird. Or I don't expect you to come do your work. You know, you can use, I have a space on my Discord actually called the Cozy Chat, and it's for exactly this. Like you can sit in the Cozy Chat and it's a silent space, no talking, and people have a chat, like you can chat with typing. And it's meant to be a solid like work study place. So I'm in there when I'm editing, or people are in there when they're studying. And it's just a nice way to say I'm somewhere without leaving my house, but somebody's holding me accountable because they can see that I'm there. So it's kind of like a nice virtual way of doing that. But, you know, there are ways to be appropriate is what I'm trying to say. But I think it takes a lot of effort. You know, it takes a lot of effort for us to be in community with one another, to explain the policy. See, interesting that both of the people who made the main TikToks didn't tell us why the policy exists. Why didn't the guy who went to go to the small business to prove this girl wrong tell us? And why didn't she tell us? Right? Isn't that weird? Okay, chat says, how do I join the Discord? Well, I see you're already a member. So the YouTube members and the Discord members are different. There's YouTube members have different perks than Discord members. So Discord members, they're part of Patreon. You can join through Patreon. We're actually starting, let's see, we do events every Saturday. We're doing professionally taught yoga, 30-minute class, Saturday, January 24th. We're starting the deconstruction episode by episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And we're going to, you know, philosophically examine the show episode by episode. So you can come and join us. 18 plus, no kids on the Discord, you know? Chat said, side note, I hate how there is now a fancy gym called Third Space, hijacking the concept for corporate purpose. Well, and that's the other thing. Are third spaces places that don't cost money or do cost money? I think it's either. Because even if you have guys, libraries cost money. Like parks cost money. You know what I'm saying? BDSM dungeons were my third spaces. They cost money. I used to go to the dungeon almost every day after work or every weekend after work. They cost money. My bars that did board game nights, they cost money. Gamer shops, like they cost money because you want to donate to the space. You can't, you have to donate through taxes. You donate through donations. Like you can't have a village you don't donate to. You can't have a village you don't participate in, right? That's why I believe in taxation, as long as it's fair, of course. But I believe in taxation because like you don't get to just take advantage of the world because you live here, right? So of course we want a village that we also put labor into, even if it's just making sure we pick up trash or make sure we clean up the space when we leave or making sure we don't turn it into our living room, right? Chess is discussing theory at the dungeon. Exactly. You know how it was. Actually, in all of my life, never have I had so many philosophical and political discussions than at a BDSM dungeon. Well, somebody is literally like hanging from a ceiling or tied up or being spanked. Not literally during the scene, to be fair, or if during the scene in the social spaces, but some of the best philosophical, political conversations I've ever had is with somebody completely naked or in leather in front of me. Totally. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Okay. So when we talk about these conversations, I think it is, you know, it's community dependent. We're all going to have different relationships with these words and what they should look like. But I think what's important is that they shouldn't all look the same. They should be dependent on the culture and what people in the community want and desire for the space. And I think that's kind of the point, you know, is instead of saying, oh my God, like you're crazy for this or you're crazy for this. Just say, oh, okay, the world doesn't work that way in all places. So thank you for letting me know. And now I know. But, you know, it might not be for me, or maybe this space is for me because of this particular vibe. But I think it's like this judgment that we start with that makes me want to pause and just remind people that, like, cafes don't work the same universally. Every town has its own vibe. Every chain has its own vibe. Every business has an expectation. You know, I am very much used to cafes being places where people work, but I can understand that a cafe must exist in which maybe that's not the vibe. Okay, note to self, right? I kind of wish, and this is sort of my wish, that if people go into this business again, they just remind people, hi, welcome to Hibiti. I'm so happy to have you here. Just a reminder, you know, these are our policies if you want to read them over just in case, but otherwise, thank you for being here. Instead of assuming people will read the sign, because I also do think it's a little ableist to assume people would read the sign, right? Like, we can't assume people even speak English and you wrote it in English. We can't even expect, like, why are you assuming people read the sign? Okay, what if they didn't wear their glasses that day? And they literally, like, couldn't even read the sign. They didn't even think about it. What if they're just like, they didn't notice it, right? So for him to be like, the sign is there, okay, and it's just like, there were so many other ways to avoid this circumstance, but I just didn't think people had a lot of care or consideration when thinking about why that sign might have been missed. But then it did feel like they were punching down on this girl who did a very normal and common thing in a lot of cultural bubbles, working at a cafe. That's really normal. And she spent $25 in 3 hours, more than enough. That's more than enough. That's almost $10 an hour just to sit at their table. What do you want from her? That's more than the federal minimum wage. What do you want from her? Do you know what I'm saying? Okay. So yeah. Okay. Any last thoughts on this? 'Cause that's all I have for you today. A short but simple stream. Hey, hey. It's mostly 'cause I slept for hours and I'm dying a bit. I'm dying a bit. I'm so tired. I'm so tired but grateful. I shouldn't complain. There are people who aren't getting any sleep. Just I think if they confronted people who didn't see the sign in a rude way, that would be worse than letting someone stay for a few hours before gently letting them know the policy. I disagree. I think they should say it in the beginning. You know, because you're comfortable. It reminds me of that other cafe story. You remember the girl was taking a picture outside the cafe, and she had just gone to Dunkin's, and the store owner was like, oh my God, are you filming in front of my cafe? And then she went in to buy something, and then she went to go sit down. The woman's like, no outside food. You know, they say Gen Zers are socially inept, but I think it's just about everybody. Because at this point, I don't even get it. At this point, do we not know how to humanize people and see where they're coming from? Like, can you not, like, we all as a collective have to make the effort. Yes, both Black women, mind you. Yes, chat, both Black women, mind you. So, you know, we need to be very considerate and contemplate if there's some level of racism playing into here. And in case you guys didn't understand what I was giving you a look for earlier, when he assumed she lied about how much she spent, and he said nothing on this menu could have gotten you to $25 and didn't take into consideration she tipped, that's probably because he thinks Black people don't tip. Because what other reason was there when my first thought was she tipped, obviously, bro. That's why the cost came to 25. Him trying to disprove her as a liar by saying like she couldn't have spent that much. What would be the only logical reason she would then have spent that much? A tip. That's what I'm saying. Like, be good faith with people. Assume people are following a general custom of tipping because that's the custom. Okay? That's why I said that earlier, and now I have to feel like I have to explain it, you know? So yeah, I kind of feel like he was assuming, instead of being good faith and just assuming that she was following the expectation of the bubble, which is we typically tip in America, you know? So in America, in New York, yeah, that's what I assume she did. And look, I don't have confirmation on that, but she did prove she spent $25 there. And I'm going to assume that's why, which is why she said when she went to the other coffee shop, she tipped 20%, which is what I'm assuming, see how I'm using deductive reasoning? What am I, Sherlock Holmes? Call me Sherlock Holmes, baby. You know what I mean? Damn. I don't know. Like, it's not even, it's not that deep, bro. That's a joke. It is that deep. Because what was this, Yes, chat. Context clues. Hello? Guys. I've been thinking about this because I was wondering if a part of the reason I also am the reason I am the way that I am is like, as a kid, I used to watch all those like Matlock, Law and Order, cop shows, mystery shows, Agatha Christie. Like, I would read books, Nancy Drew, The Boxcar Children. I love a mystery. I love putting clues together. I love like noticing, which is why every autistic person thinks they're fucking Sherlock Holmes, right? Because we're all like, we see things people don't see. We see patterns. But we just like, that's just like, there's a fun in it. There's like a fun with the ooh. Clue collecting. Ooh, that's a tongue twister. Clue collecting. So I feel like sometimes people aren't, yes, Scooby-Doo. Yes, Discord, Scooby-Doo. Love Scooby-Doo, okay? And it's like, are you guys not doing that? Like, are people not thinking about every possibility? I don't know. But there's so many reasons. Chat said, I'm just nosy. Honestly, though, what's the difference, really? Because listen, how we talked about taking calls in cafes earlier? Look, I'd love listening to a phone call if it's interesting. If it's not interesting, I like it less. That's what I'm saying. Everybody loves a phone call that's interesting. Nobody wants to hear you over talk about nothing with your bestie at the cafe, girl. Unless, that's what I'm saying. Listen, when you're on the phone, you really are yelling. You're almost always yelling, okay? If you are two friends sitting next to each other, I promise you, I don't hear you the way I hear people on the phone. The moment the phone opens, something happens and like all my senses go do. And like, I think that's the part about being a human that's hard, right? I don't know. Oh, Chad says, I like doing that when watching media, foreshadowing, but you're pointing out a preference I didn't know I had. Oh, how many of us watch a TV show? Gosh, my partner, we were watching One Piece and I was like, oh, this is it. And he was like, stop. Just watch for 2 minutes and it'll give you the answer. I was like, no, this is it. Pause. Let me guess. Okay, so Luffy went here and then Zoro did this. And then Usopp said this earlier. Got it. And he was just like, okay. And then the other day though, okay, there was a story arc in One Piece where there's like a betrayal. And I was like, pause it. I'll tell you who it is. He goes, okay, who is it? And I went down all of my reasoning for who the betrayer was. I was like, okay, here are all the context clues. Here's all of the, here's my reasoning. Here's all the stuff. And it was going to be like a big deal. Okay. And I was like, I got this. And I was right, of course. But the logic I used to come to my conclusion was very different than the internet's and his. And that's what's interesting about people's perception. I use completely different tools to come to the same conclusion because our brains work different. And that's the point. Okay? That's the point. Learn how your brain works, learn why you come to the conclusions you do, and the world will become better. You'll become better, the world will become better, Because nothing happens in a vacuum. Like, everything is for a reason. Your preferences, the way you enjoy things. And you know what's so funny? We live in a world that says, man, nobody knows anybody anymore. My partner doesn't even pay attention to the small details. And then you guys wonder why I care that Hassan doesn't listen to music. That's interesting detail. Tell me more. If I was dating a Hassan, I'd be like, you got to tell me that. Like, you want me to remember your favorite candy, but I can't think it's interesting that you don't listen to music? What does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, I want to know everything about people and I pay attention to people. That's what I'm saying. We're talking about living in a world where like, oh, we have no one's good friends. Friendships are shallow. People are so shallow. But God forbid a girl ask why. How are you going to get deep without asking why? Isn't that funny? See how I say the world doesn't know what it wants? The world is a reflection of us as a whole. And the world is a lonely place because you do not want to have a deep relationship with people. You don't even have a deep relationship with yourself. And so the world will continue to unwisely suffer because you are unwise when it comes to your own understanding of self. It's so obvious, bro. It's so obvious. It's ridiculous. It's so obvious. I should have figured it out 30 years sooner, but I didn't. But at least I figured it out by 30. At least I really did. Now, Hassan is a little older than 30 now, so any day now, bro. Any day now, bro. And you know why I say this? Because I think he can do it, right? Don't you see that I really believe Hassan can do it? But will he? Probably not. Just like with anybody else. Probably not, you know? All right. I think that's it. I think we're over it. I'll come back tomorrow. Fingers crossed. We still have construction for the next few days, maybe weeks. I don't know. I don't know when this thing's going to be over. I don't know when this thing's going to be over. I'm so tired. I'm crazy. I got to go. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Bye-bye. Thanks for being here. Seriously, I really appreciate it. And guys, great job yesterday. Seriously. It was a really tough stream, and you guys fucking knocked it out of the park. And all those people that were still being so fucking bad faith in the comments, girl, it is what it is. But you did great yesterday. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Okay, see you tomorrow.